Good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever this one finds you. Dylan here, co-founder of Indiverse.io and your regular host for your fortnightly fix of Across the Indiverse. That's a mouthful. Wanted to give a little bit of a forward for today. We have been asked by the creator to give a little bit of a note on this episode. So this episode was recorded just over a year ago. I know, a long time for this one to come out. And there's many reasons why it's taken us so long to get these episodes out, but I don't want to go into this today because I only have 90 seconds. So yes, this one is an older episode, but it is something important that we wanted to show, which is the journey of growth that this creator specifically has taken, so that you can also see that there's rooms to grow, there's steps to take, and whether or not you take inspiration from the episode today, or, sorry for the spoilers, there's another episode with Eris coming out very soon. It'll probably be our 9th or 10th episode to come out, so it's still a little while away, but we wanted to give an updated version so people can see the journey that someone in his position will take. So you can maybe take some inspiration from where he was to where he is. So, like I said, this is an older episode. I hope you still enjoy. Make sure to like, share, send it out to your other designer friends. There's so many good insights that can come from someone with so much experience like Eris. So yeah, tune in. Hope you enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Welcome everybody to our third installment. You can enjoy the laughter of myself and our lovely guest for today, Eris of Delta Phase Games. A true veteran of the space, someone who's been with us since the start, great friend, a lot of great advice to give. For those new to the show, we invite a bunch of lovely independents that we've met here in Australia, hopefully across the world as we move around, to talk about what it's like being an independent creator, some of the challenges that we face, some of the wins, some of the crazier times that we might go through, just to bring out some advice and some awareness on what happens, how you get to be from a game idea or an ideas person to a finished product at the end, or wherever you want your dreams to go in the independent tabletop space. Welcome, Eris, mate. How you doing, bud?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Looks very sunny over there compared to here. I was going to say so before, but
Well,
you're in Queensland. It's always
this is
sunny.
all fake. I've got a window, my curtain's shut. This is all just lights that I've set up. Just because I don't have any of my RGB lights. I moved house about 18 months ago and haven't set everything up, so I've just got normal lights, and I just try and make the room brighter so that if I'm on camera, the camera can pick it up. So yeah, just regular lights. And you know what? I've just realised that my wardrobe is slightly open. So that will bug me the whole entire time if I keep seeing that. This is, just a little bit, but it's enough.
I recently just watched a thing of Five Nights at Freddy's, another Let's Play from a new game they had, and I was like, the open wardrobes everywhere, and I just thought of that, then I'm like, maybe we can do that for like the Halloween theming, with some eyeballs or something.
I've not actually seen any Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. I know of it, because I know it exists, but I don't know anything about it. So is it like it's like a fox or a wolf or something? Like, is that what it is? An animal? Like
it's very grim. It's very grim. So it's animatronics that are haunted by spirits of children that were done untoward in the early 80s and stuff by a crazy serial killer. There's a whole lot of plot for how simple the game looks. There's so much lore in there. So if you ever want to deep dive something interesting and don't want to play the horror game, like, definitely worth the look. It's very interesting. The guy loves his Easter eggs as well. So like there's a lot of stuff for not just going through it, but then like digging through some of the extra bits here and there. It's a time, I will say.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. There you go.
So on topic of tabletop. I love it.
I know we've already derailed. We've derailed within like 3 seconds of like starting. So
I swear, I need a tangent alarm or something, and I've needed one for my whole life, so I can be like, just Dylan, please, the tangent, please. Can we just get? So
this is why if you get a second host, you can kind of do that to each other. Just have a buzzer or something. That, come on, you're off track.
Oh, well, we can't invite Hayden because he hates dogs, and I don't want to.
He hates dogs. Although the irony is that I don't really care for any pets. I'm just like pet neutral. I'm not fussed. I don't really want any. I'm not too fussed about seeing them. I like watching them on the internet, like videos of them. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Actually owning them, no interest.
Yeah. Okay.
So now I've just lost most of my potential audience now. Like no one's going to want to buy my games because like he doesn't like pets. Like what the.
You like dinosaurs though, like they are also.
I do like
really
dinosaurs. Cool. Dinosaurs. Unfortunately, they're not really, unless you have cat birds, like which you could say are, dinosaurs.
And crocs as well also fall into there. Is it alligators or crocodiles?
Crocodilians are not dinosaurs.
No?
Not as far as I know. They're a whole different like species, genus thing. Whatever.
Okay.
Now, some biologists can please comment and let us know the truth. But as far as I'm aware, they're a different strain. They're not like dinosaurs.
Okay. Well, I mean, we've taken two lovely trips down completely tangent things again. We need the big orange alarm to go off.
I mean,
Dinosaurs,
I've
video
got
games.
dinosaurs over there. So, can I point? I
Yeah.
can't point. I don't know how to point. So there is some relevance, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about yourself. I guess we'll jump into the tabletop side of things. How'd you start
Hmm.
out? How'd you get to where you are? What's the dreams?
Yeah,
Tell us.
yeah. So like a lot of people, I started out by playing games. I played most of the standard games growing up. So your mass production, whatever you call it. Now my brain is like freezing. Mass
Your
market
monopolies, like
games.
everything that
Yeah.
everyone, like your mum and pop buyers. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we had some different ones. Like I played Strategio, which I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Ooh,
It's sort of like, yeah, you know of it. Like it's pretty cool. And used to play that, play other ones, and then I was about 13, 14. I got introduced to Risk,
ooh,
which
another
is
classic.
like still fairly kind of mainstream, but it's something I hadn't heard of. And then
Mm.
basically that game, and I bought different versions of it. It became my kind of favorite game for probably the next almost 20 years.
Wow. Okay.
And so I played a lot of it. I used to like be in a situation where I was living up the Sunshine Coast, and most of my friends were in Brisbane, and so I just had in the boot of my car like 5 different versions of Risk, like that I'd just take with me just in case I was going to end up at one of their houses without planning. And let's just play Risk, and I had like the different versions and stuff. So
Yep.
that was the thing. And then probably around 2012. Some friends introduced me to more modern board games, so like Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, Catan, basically those 3, and Small
Yep.
World probably was the 4th one.
Oh. Mm.
And that so that was probably around 2012ish, 2011, 2012, and that sort of started my journey into modern board games. Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. It's interesting that you look at it from like those jumps down. So you start at like I think of like Snakes and Ladders, Trouble. I can't. There's another name for it.
There's Headache as well, which is a
Headache.
similar but different game. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of those things that sort of like are the building blocks. You talk about going to Risk. I guess like when you get a little bit older, it's like Risk, Monopoly is like one of those ones that sort of like a little bit into the older of like the childhood young teen. And then there is that
Yeah,
shift
we
to
played Monopoly when I was quite young, so for me that was part of my younger
okay.
ones. And we had other ones too. Like we had other like just classic games. Like do you remember the Beetle one that you'd put together a like Beetle, like it had like you put like limbs, like legs and a body and a head and like antennas
Yeah.
and stuff, and you'd
Yes.
be building it out. I can't remember how maybe it was a spinner. I can't even remember how the game worked, but I remember enjoying it. Like it was this tactile and with this like rainbow beetles.
Let you build,
Um,
create something a little bit weird and wonderful every
yeah,
time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we never had Mousetrap. That was always one that I wanted, but we just never got
Mm.
it.
Oh, but you can't hang on to
And
all the
then
pieces. I think I went through like 2 or 3 copies of Mousetrap, and you
yeah,
just like piecemeal together whatever you had like between the sets. It was awful.
that's funny. Yeah, we never had it. But then yeah, like I said, had Strategio and some other ones. And then what also kind of happened parallel was around like in my early childhood. So when I was probably about 6, 7, our family got introduced to just a playing card game called Old Joe, which is a form of contract rummy,
Okay.
which the current game Phase 10. Have you ever seen that put out by Mattel? It
Yes,
looks a bit like
yes.
but it's a different game. Phase 10 is basically the same game that we play with normal playing cards, just with a couple of tweaks. But it's a form of contract rummy. So it's rummy, sets and runs. But you have each round you have a goal. So you might need 3 sets or 2 sets and a run or whatever. And
Okay.
so everyone's trying to get that for the round. And then with the one that we played, it's a shedding game, so you want to be the first person with no cards in hand, and any cards in hand score points. And points are bad, so you want to kind of have the lowest score at the end of the game.
Okay.
So yeah, like it's a classic card game, but like that became our family game mostly.
Mhm.
But then we also had other ones that we used to play, like a Boulder Dash, like original Boulder Dash, which was just with words. So
I don't think I've played that one. What's the bigger board
Boulder
games in our
Dash, there's a
family?
newer version called Absolute Boulder Dash, but like original Boulder Dash, it just basically has like a definition, it has a word, and then everyone at the table has to write down what they think the meaning of the word is.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and the person who's got the card, they write down the correct answer. But the bit of paper that then all the bits of paper are given to the question giver, and then they shuffle them and read them out. And what you've got to do is try and guess which is the right answer, like which is the true answer. So
Okay, okay.
the person who knows the right answer has to try and read them all out as similarly as possible. If you write the correct answer, then you get like points because that's like obviously good. But then if people pick your answer, you get points if you trick people. So sometimes trying to write what seems like a plausible answer or a funny answer can be good. And yeah, it's a point. You just get points for how well you can either guess or trick people.
Okay.
And then they made one called Absolute Balderdash, which had other categories. So it had other trivia stuff on it, like movies and things, and just general like history and stuff. And so they broadened it out from just word meanings. But yeah, that was the one that we played a lot because it could also play a very large player count. So if we had another family over and there was 8 or 10 of us, then that game could accommodate it easily. So it was just a good kind of group game. So yeah.
That's one of the things that I really like about the shift in these days, having like party size games. Like I think about the social deduction games that have little pieces. Like Secret Hitler's the big one that goes out there. There was another one that I saw recently, not in the same capacity. Actually a Melbourne crew as well. It's Who Murdered the Turtle.
I don't know that one.
No, they only just got to Kickstarter. It looks like I mean, I'm a sucker for the art because the turtles are really cute, and maybe you might not like it because you hate pets, but
okay. I said it was indifferent, neutral, not hate.
Right.
Clear the record. Clear my name.
No words in your mouth for that one. No, sorry, indifferent to pets. But yeah. They have something similar as well, but they have more of a card-based system, which sort of limits it down. So I think that there's like a good thing around like having massive things. Like I've also done like tabletop roleplay games that have classically, between 4 and 6 players and a DM or GM, whatever you call them. But I've had things that have like multiple tables set up around. So it's a giant setting that's happening or event that's happening. Like the classic example is like Helm's Deep for Lord of the Rings. If you've seen,
I'm not really an RPG, so there's a lot of that stuff I just don't know much about. So yeah.
You seen the films for Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I know the Lord of the Rings and I know Helm's Deep, the place and the story, but I didn't know there was a game about it. So yeah.
No. So that's like the example. So like you'll have like 4 or 5 tables, each of which are doing little different things that come in together. So like you're all trying to defend a keep, and this group is like at the gates, this group's like all the archers at the top defending the walls, like and doing collaborative stuff in that sort of space for tabletop role plays.
Do you change tables throughout the game? Like do you get to move around or not?
Yeah, so the events that unfold and how successful other tables are influence how the enemy moves into or moves around the objective. So if they're holding really well at the gates, they'll stop trying to push into the gates, and the party sitting there's like, okay, what do we do now? Do we like reinforce the gate? Do we go help another team? Like, so it's a constant moving and adjusting and move around. So it's after like a certain amount of like rounds for every player that the status is like shared between the messengers. So you're sending messages between the rounds, and physically that takes an amount of time depending on where you are to where the person to the next group is. So it's always like information being passed around, like an actual environment like that where you have people playing a tabletop game, and then it's insane. There's a lot of
it sounds like a complicated version of Captain Sonar. Is it Captain Sonar? That's the one with the submarine or battleship.
The biggest complicated part really is just the communication between, because if you're just sitting there as a player, you're just playing with your party, your team, like any game ever. It's just the coordinated bits and like the response, because not only can you not have you can't really predict what's going to happen, because you can't predict that like the front gate's going to be defended super well because people might roll terribly and then they suck and then they get through. So like it's a dynamic building thing. So you kind of, the only things you sort of we had to set was like, okay, what are they trying to get at? And how much information do they have to get to that? And then what do they learn as they go through, succeed and fail at different parts of the assault or the events that are happening? So it is a wild time, including like GMs also having like their own little game. It's like GM table and then all the other tables making influence on it. It's definitely a lot of planning in that goes into it. And like, especially for the group of GMs, they have to be really good communicating, idea generation. There's a lot of stuff that happens on the fly. I do want to try it with like improv people. I have a couple of friends who are actors, writers, and stuff like
Okay.
that who do improv as well.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested to give it a bash with them, just for something a little bit different.
Hmm.
Because like people who do tabletops all the time obviously have their own like themes and things that they like to put in there. But if writers from different areas, especially different genres,
Yeah.
that's going to add
Yeah.
a lot more flavor to that dynamic shifting environment all the way through. Yeah.
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 Wow.
And then we got sidetracked again, started talking about role
Yeah,
playing games,
I
which
have
you
no
don't even
idea
do.
what we were talking about before that.
Oh,
um,
no, tell me about your history coming up in games and that. So when did you
yeah. So
decide to come across to like going from a player to a creator?
good designer. Yeah.
What was the impetus?
Yeah. Just very classic. I wanted to make stuff. So my professional background is as a graphic designer. So I've worked as a graphic designer for approximately 22-ish years, around that. Not always doing it full time as my main thing, because I chop and change, but like for the most part that's what I did. And I worked at one company for a really long time, so that was kind of pretty stable.
Yep.
But coming from that graphic design background, when I started playing the modern board games and kind of getting into enjoying them, I realized that I wanted to make something, and that seemed really appealing to me. So I started listening to podcasts that were around at the time. So the main ones were like the Game Design Roundtable and Ludology, which are both still going. I don't know if they've got the same hosts exactly. I think Game Design Roundtable mostly does, but Ludology has changed. I don't listen to as many podcasts these days. I've just got too much else going on. But those two particularly, and then just any other kind of game design podcast that I could listen to, I started listening to, and then just I decided to start making it. And I just approached it as a kind of graphic design problem, which is, you have a checklist basically if you're doing it as a design for someone. So if someone comes to you and says, we want to create a poster for an event, well, you kind of have a checklist. It's like, well, who's the audience? What's the context it's going to be seen in? Is it going to be something people are going to be seeing far away, close up? Like, what's the kind of deal? Is it full of information? Is it like got a million special guests that need to be on it, or is it really simple information and we can have more art? Like, you just kind of go through all this sort of stuff. What's the budget? Because we might affect what we can do and can't do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of just go through all these questions. And so I just approached that with games. So even right away, I was just like, okay, like I'd be just driving home from work, doing the, commute thing, and just be kind of talking to myself going, okay, well, I want to make a game. What do I want to make a game about? Or what just seems interesting? Is there a theme or is there a topic? And I think for me, I'd heard someone say on one of the podcasts that, you kind of want a challenge, like you want something that the players are trying to overcome, like that's, a kind of thing. And so I was thinking about settings where there was a natural kind of alignment between the theme and a challenge that needs to be, overcome.
Yeah. Yep.
And I also knew that I wanted it to be something that was fairly small, because I didn't know what I was going to be like if I was going to try and make it myself or try and pitch it to a publisher. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just make a card game, won't worry about any extra components. And so I had that framework, and through that came up with an idea and started working on the game. So yeah.
Fantastic. And that's not Sugarrr, is it? Surely.
No, Sugarr's a lot newer. Well, Sugarr's complicated. All my games are complicated, their history. No, the first game was Robots and Rockets. And so it came out by Rule and Make. It actually, so I signed it, managed to get it signed, and then picked up. And that came out in 2015. PAX 2015, we launched it.
Oh, that's a while ago now. 9 years, damn.
Yeah, so I started working on it in 2014. So I've been 10 years designing like this year. So, so that one, originally it was about an airport setting. So you were trying to get passengers onto planes, and then once the plane was full, it would fly away, and whoever managed to fill it last would get it, basically.
Okay.
And then working with the publisher, actually, no, before the publisher came on board, I realized that at the time, I didn't feel confident having a game with real people in it, because I didn't know how to best represent a diverse cast of humans in a way that didn't feel reductive, like just resorting to kind of like stereotypical clothing and stuff. And so I was just like, this was in my mind, and I was like, how do I make it? How do I still do something? So then I made it like anthropomorphic animals for a while. So they were like, koalas and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I hit on robots, because I really enjoy robots. So I've got a robot tattoo, which you probably can't see very well.
I can. It'll probably come through right on that.
Anyway,
ooh, very
there.
cool. Very cool.
So already had the robot, and in fact, I think I already had the rocket as well. So I had both robots and rockets already in my arm. Clearly, I didn't go far for inspiration. And so then basically it became like the idea of this is that you're trying to get these robots onto the rockets, and the rockets are going to different planets in the solar system. And so you want to have the right robots on the right rocket to score points. And that's what it became. And so I started working on it. Had a friend who's an artist who I went to TAFE with back in 2002, and we'd stayed in touch. And he'd done some art just as a joke for a profile picture for me for Facebook. Yeah. I had a weird haircut, and he just thought it was funny, so he did like a cartoon version of it. And I was like, "That's amazing! Like, do you want to help me work on this game?" And he was interested, and so we started doing it. But like, at the time, I was just like, didn't know what I was doing, didn't know if it was going to get published or anything, and so it was very much just a passion project for both of us. And then Rule and Make, I met them at PAX 2014. And kind of showed them the game, and then in about February 2015 we signed the contracts and wow. Agreed to it, and they liked his art, so then they brought him on properly to kind of finish the full game and
wow, that's fantastic.
And do all the art. So we ended up doing it, splitting the job. So I did the graphic design for all the cards and some of the box, and then they did the graphic design for other parts of the box and the rule sheet, and the artist did the art for it all. And so it kind of split the load based on our skills. But yeah, it was pretty exciting, and really, obviously good to have a game done. And it's also very unusual. Most people don't have their first game published. Like, that's definitely not the norm. And even today, I would normally say to people, don't do that, because usually your first game is your worst game. Like, that's just the nature of design. Like, when you're learning anything, the first time you do something, you very rarely are going to do it at a level that's professional, quote unquote. And but obviously this publisher thought the game was all right, and I was proud of it, and so we went ahead with it and did it. And obviously it had development, like they did testing and development, as well as I was continuing to develop it up until we launched it. But had that happen 2015 that came out, and then kind of went from there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I say the same thing. Like, a lot of people, it's not even the first game is like your worst game kind of thing, which I guess from the way you explain it, I completely agree. Like, the first time you do something,
it's a funny clip. I've made terrible games, even this week. So it's not universally true. It's just it's more trying to say for people, especially people who are very new to making games, just remember that part of the thing is that it's a journey, it's a learning experience. It's just like if you're trying to be an athlete, you're not going to run the super fast 100 meters straight away. You've got to kind of work up to it. And so it sort of is a little bit similar. Obviously, analogies aren't always great, but it's the idea is that experience can really help. So every time you make a game, even if it goes nowhere or you take it somewhere, you're going to learn each time. And I've certainly I've got folders full of dead end game designs that just didn't go anywhere. So
yeah,
it's just one of those things. But yeah.
How do you know when you've got a winner? Like, what do you, because you said talked about running lists before when it comes to graphic design, when it comes to creativity, like, what do you look for when you're like, this is it? Like, what made you pick Sugarrr, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah, we can talk about that shortly. It's not I don't have any hard and fast rules. For me, it's more intuition, what feels right. But then also, because I'm now at a phase, I'm trying to be a publisher and starting my own business, the conceptualizing games as products is kind of important to me now. For some people that's not important, because they're making creative projects, they're artistic statements, they're just get themselves working their own creative voice. And obviously I support all that, and I think that people should be free to make games however fulfills them. I'm wanting to try and sell them, and so make them into things that people want to buy, and that means thinking of them as products as well as creative works. And so that means that a huge proportion of it is just playtesting with real people, like actual people who might be, potential customers, and hearing their feedback, seeing what they respond to. And obviously I've got in my mind things that are kind of important that I want to stay within certain games. Like, some games I don't want to veer too far away from a core idea, but I still will listen to people if they say, oh, the scoring's too complicated, takes too long, and enough people keep saying that, well, I'm going to listen to that and go, okay, is that an actual problem, or am I pitching the game wrong? Is it looking like a simple game when it's actually a more complex game? Like, is that messaging off? Whatever it is. And so in that sense, thinking of it as a product and hearing customer feedback, it matters. And then also the big difficulty though with this is trying to figure out what feedback to listen to and what feedback to ignore, because obviously everyone has their thoughts and opinions, and if I'm testing someone's game, I'm going to give them all my thoughts and opinions, and that's just what I'm hoping will help them in some way. But I also am totally fine if they ignore 99.9% of what I say. That's their prerogative. It's their thing, so they should be able to do that. So yeah, but you want to listen to I want to listen to the people playing the games and kind of work that out. And it also teaches me what's important. Like, I learn as I've made more games which are very casual gamer, family friendly, kind of, not super gamer focused. You learn things about what their tolerance level is, like how open are they to certain types of scoring or difficulty in mechanics. And also I'm surprised the other way, where I'm thinking, oh, this mechanic is a bit too fiddly, a bit too hard, like it's going to put people off. And then I find that a whole bunch of people just don't care. They love it. Like, they're fine. Like, they adapt to it and they go.
Yeah.
And so then you're like, okay, I didn't need to worry about that. And yeah. So it just kind of depends on what's happening. But for me, I don't have any kind of rubric for what makes a design worth pursuing, other than am I enjoying it? Is it bringing me any fulfillment to do, either as a creator or as a player? Because sometimes there's some games that I don't always love playing, like, either because I've played them a million times and you kind of get tired of them, or or I'm pushing into a genre that isn't my usual comfort zone as a player, and that more as a creative. But I really find them satisfying as a designer to go, okay, well, how can I make a game that does something that's outside my comfort zone, that is, broadening my horizons and broadening my skill set, and so they're satisfying as a problem-solving puzzle, and a creative work. And then obviously a whole bunch of my games I make because they're games I want to play. So I do love playing them. And yes, I may get a bit sick of it because I am playing them a lot. But overall, I'm happy to normally play them because I made them for me. So that's sort of, a roundabout way of answering your question.
Yeah, and it's something that I've been asking with, I think every interaction I sort of go to is, it's never, and this is, I think, the difference between like my side of the world compared to looking at it from a business perspective. And while I will admit, like, from our side being Indiverse and a marketplace, like, we have to think of them like that. But I kind of like the shift that I get to make in the role that I have, especially when, like, and I think you talked about a little bit as well, thinking about your games as products when you're thinking about like what progresses, how you move it through, what's good for like publishing and selling. But you also make stuff that like you creatively want to make as well. So like having that split mentality, I think, is a really important thing for those who want to be, I guess, business minded in like the success of being a studio, design house, publishing house, whatever your dreams are for your gaming specialization, professionalism, however you want to put it. Like, I think that there's that shift that you need to make though. And like, if you really want to be successful, like, you have to have that split there, because making fun games that you find fun doesn't really sort of always translate to everyone else there. Like, you have to think about, like you said, you've got to play testing mechanics, you're testing all these things, finding out what gels well with the people who are going to be buying these things and playing it, but also keeping that core of the fun in there. So I imagine it's quite hard as a solo person to juggle for everybody, but you seem to always really be very on top of it all, I would say. We had a chat recently when we
I'm glad I've seen that way.
Perceptions are a hell of a thing, my friend. Perceptions. Yep.
You started saying something. Sorry.
So we caught up recently for PAX, and the TGDA developer designer convention as well.
DevCon, yeah.
DevCon, yeah. And the thing that I really, I'd seen we'd seen each other physically at Tabletop convention, and little bits. It was such a busy time then, and I was so new to this space. Yeah. But the thing I really admired about you when we did play testing with the game Thwarts by I can't remember the studio name, but the person there was Casper.
The Casper is the designer, but I don't remember her studio name. Hi, Casper.
I have a rule book here somewhere. Sorry.
Yeah.
What I really liked about that was not just your perspective of like what mechanically runs through the game and what you're thinking of, and like building up from like player perspective as well, but also like the fun in it. After everything that you went through from a mechanical perspective around how they use their dice, how they move their pieces, the last thing you asked them was, is it still fun? And that stuck to my mind like nothing else. And that's one of those key things. Like, it's a game, it's supposed to be fun. Like, we're trying to sell it. Like, there's a financial side of it that you want.
Small quibble. I probably would say not all games need to be fun. There are definitely games where the satisfaction is in a different space. Like, it could be solving a puzzle, it could be overcoming a challenge, and for some people that's fun. For other people, it's just it's a good endorphin rush of I solved that problem. So that's me being very pedantic, and other people go, no, that is fun. You're just being silly, so it's fine. But I think the giving feedback to people like that, and like different designers who you haven't met and games you haven't seen. It's tricky because you don't always know what their goals are, and in spaces like that, it was a very compressed environment, lots of people, very quick kind of interactions. And usually, if I'm thinking straight, I'll try and ask the designer ahead of time, kind of like, who's this kind of game aimed at? What are your plans for it? Are you looking to try and bring it to market yourself, or go through a publisher? Do you even want to bring it to market, or is this just a passion project that you're going to make? Print 10 copies, give them to your friends, and that's all your goal is right now. Where are you at that? Because obviously, if they go, look, this is a passion project, I just want to make a game that me and my mates love, well, my feedback is going to be different from I'm trying to get my game into like Kmart, and because they're different things. And so
absolutely.
So basically, like, I try and do that. I don't always remember, and then I try and frame and then try and frame the feedback around, like if they say, look, I'm pitching this is aimed at an audience of this type, like people who really love strategy and puzzle kind of games and whatever, then I'll try and do my best to channel that type of person if I can. And it also goes the other way. Like, there is I played a game by Mike Bantic, is that how you say his name?
I think so.
Sorry, Mike.
Sorry, buddy.
And he has a game which is about a dance competition. So it's a competitive game, and you're basically trying to pull off some dance moves, right? And it's an interesting game, and we came into it, and we were playing a 2-player version, so head-to-head, but it is a multiplayer game, and it's a game that has a real-time element. So basically, you're both trying to like construct your dance moves at the same time, and then whoever's quickest can grab this like trophy token, which is worth points. But you also, obviously, if you grab it, you're also kind of ending the round. So you want to make sure that you've got a good combo kind of worked out. And I said to him straight away, look, real-time games for me like this often spike my anxiety, and I just don't enjoy them very often. So I tend to skew away from them. So I said, look, I'm absolutely willing to play, just as long as if I have negative feedback or if I'm struggling, it's not necessarily the game's fault. It's just me as a player. This is where my kind of threshold is. And we played, and like the first kind of round and a half, I definitely struggled, and certainly the first, I think, 3 rounds, he just beat me every time, and he definitely started taking his time to slowly go towards the token, because he was like, I was still like struggling to get my combo, sorted out. But then as I hit a stride and kind of got my head around what the game was about, by the end of the game, I was beating him to the token. Like, in the final few rounds, I was a bit quicker at getting to it just because of it worked out that way. And then I think I just barely beat him on points as well, like at the very end. And so he might have been going easy on me, but it was just still satisfying for me to go, okay, this was a game that I didn't think I was going to like. And then it turned out I did. Like, I really quite enjoyed the puzzle. And there was parts of it, obviously, to prototype, the stuff that I didn't gel with me. But like, overall, it's a game I've thought about repeatedly since that event, and gone, there was something there that was really fun. So, and for me, it was solving a puzzle, because you had to put this dance combo together, and there was a puzzle element to how you do that, and that was satisfying. So, anyway,
it's just one of those things where like like you say, sometimes it's not fun, and you mentioned that before, but satisfaction that gets you like the thing. It's like that endorphin hit of like, oh, I just did that thing. I overcame that hurdle, whatever it was, in whatever capacity. And I feel the same about like the live action, like real time in game. Like, I have the same thing where there's that pressure. Like, it feels like you're on the clock, like it's got to move. And I have the same thing. So
there's literally a clock, like a timer or something.
Oh man, that'll do me over. That's it. I'm done then. But it's nice that And always, I don't think I can't recall anything where I've had the same feeling about a tabletop game in a long time. And I don't know whether that's because I have currently only have a certain group of friends that I've mainly played tabletop games with. Whether it's like, oh, we already found our stride and things that we enjoy, or whether I just like to play tabletop games no matter what they are. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but yeah, it can be interesting.
No,
And like,
I mean, many people have wide tastes. Like some people are very focused and they know they like certain genres and they really double down on that. But I think most people are willing to kind of try a few things and see what happens. And especially, I think, as you become, like, if you're a regular in the hobby and play a lot of games, because you play a lot of games, it actually gets easier to learn games because you have a broader knowledge. So, like, if someone says, "Oh, this is a set collection game," you're like, "Okay, I know what set collection is. I don't need to learn that part. I've just got to learn how does this particular version work." And the same for any other kind of system or mechanic. You begin to kind of go, "Oh, okay, I've played another game that does something similar. I've got a little bit of a head start on learning it, so now I can go and so then I think that the result of that is that you end up being more comfortable just playing a wider variety of games because you've kind of progressively built out that comfort for them. But also, it's very much group dependent. Like if I'm with a group who are very quiet and reserved kind of people, well, then playing a game that's like shouty and yelly and like fast paced, like billionaire or whatever, it's probably not going to work.
Terrible time there. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's not the right match. But if it's a game where it's more kind of like quiet, introspective, and thinky, or you're doing your own kind of individual puzzle, but even with some shared elements, then it could work really well. So yeah,
I found that issue. There's a game that I played. I want to say like maybe 5-6 years ago now. I believe it's called Memento, and it's a game where there's a player that sort of hosts. So you're doing a séance as a group of people. I believe it's a séance, but there's a ghost or an apparition that approaches you.
Oh, maybe I have played this.
Maybe it's not called Memento, and it gives you like 3 images, and the aim is to try and construct a story around like what happened and how the ghost either its life sort of came to the end or like found out who killed them or something like that. I can't remember. But it was like a very abstract, constructive, creative.
But one of the players is the ghost, though, right?
Yeah, one of the players is the ghost who feeds the information without words. I have played that
because it's sort of like a Cluedo-y kind of like detective kind of thing, but yeah, with this other setting. Yeah, I'm terrible at those kind of games. I'm terrible at Cluedo, terrible at like deduction games in general. I enjoy playing some of them, but like often I just lose terribly. So it's that was kind of a co-op, because unlike Cluedo, which is competitive, that I believe that's a co-op.
It is,
one,
and I tried that with so I played that initially with a bunch of very boisterous people, and that was as entertaining as you can imagine. But I actually took it to an environment where I had people with different levels of anxiety problems and like other neurodivergent people on that. And they loved it. Like they just took it up so quickly because they didn't even start thinking about themselves or the anxiety they felt about playing the game. As soon as the story started to wrap around them, it's like it just all went away. And I find that with like that, again, I'll talk about tabletop roleplay games because it's my usual bread and butter. I love being creative in that space. I find that in the same vein. Like I've done that for like not charity work, but like volunteer work and that, run games, done creative writing sessions and stuff like that for people at all different levels, because it's such a beautiful expression of self that I think that anything creative, tabletop, whether you write, whether you do roleplay games, in any capacity, like anything creative is a beautiful outlet for the things that you keep rattling around in your brain. So I think that beyond anything is probably the thing that I love the most. You get a little bit of insight to every person when you see a game they create or something that they really love about the game they've created as well. So yeah, it's awesome. It really
I think also just like broadly as a category, like tabletop games, I kind of think of them as serving a similar role to alcohol in that they're a way to help facilitate human interaction and just make it a little bit easier. So like with alcohol, I mean, I don't drink, so this is not something I have a lot of experience with, but like it seems like it helps people, lower some of their maybe defenses, and they're able to kind of, actually get to know each other. And with games, I think the way that it works is more that it gives you something that's not you personally to focus on, so it feels less vulnerable. Like you're not like, oh, what do you do for work? What do you do? Whatever. You can just kind of go, okay, let's learn the game and let's focus on that. And then through the process, you may become friends, you may not, but like it kind of helps provide something as a bit of a middle ground. And I think that's been really helpful. Like I'm in Brisbane now, and I moved up here about 18 months ago. And I won't bore you with my life story, but I have lived in Brisbane before. And anyway, so I came back 18 months ago after being away for almost 20 years, and maybe 18 years. And so, didn't really have a friendship network. Like, most of the friends I'd had from back then was all dispersed and around the place. So it's kind of starting again. And one of the first things I was able to do was to find some local board game groups and start going along. And, fast forward to now, I've got a bunch of friends and I've got these groups that I go to regularly. And it was a really good way to kind of just start building networks. So for me, it was like the games themselves is obviously a key attraction, but also the fact that it's physically like building friendships and networks and stuff. So I think that's one of their strengths, of board games, and can be really good, especially if like I live with my parents currently, and they're not gamers really, and so like it's good for me to go and play games with other people and have that outlet. So yeah,
100%, man. It's yeah, definitely the they talk about like the tech age and whatnot and coming up, and I think that these community driven things are really like. These are the things that got people like yourself and and I don't mean to shoebox you in to call you like one of the shut-ins, but I grew up in the country of Victoria, and as a technology nerd and a board gamer, video gamer, not the most popular guy out there because went to school with a bunch of tradies and stuff like that, and no shape to them. Just the crowd didn't fit. But moving to I moved up towards Melbourne near the city, literally the heart of it, thanks to a very, very lovely friend of mine. Nice. And just that made such a difference. Like just finding your tribe and then finding like it in games where I played Magic the Gathering for many years and never really spent any money on it, but I just loved going and being in the environment, doing that stuff and just making friends that way. And I realized that, so I have a degree in game design as well. I focused on lighting and sound, which was a very interesting and eye-opening thing for a 19-year-old me. Love to go deep diving on that during a conversation sometime, but probably not right now because it might take a little while. But yeah,
isn't this a 6-hour podcast? I was pretty certain that's what I signed up for.
I had it booked out till midnight, so we got about 9 hours.
Oh, okay, we've got a while. All right, fine.
But yeah, like finding that is like one of those things, especially with like the age of the internet and that crowdfunding as well is like one of those big steps when it comes to like the tabletop scene as well. Because people are promoting themselves on the internet across social media spaces. They're creating accounts like Instas, Twitters, X now. Sorry, Elon, mate.
It's Twitter. Let's not worry about X. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's such a beautiful thing to bring people together, and that's one of the things that really helped me want to pursue like I guess a professional career in the game space. Like I wasn't super. Hayden approached me, and this is a bit of the TLDR for Dylan, so you might get a little bit. This might be in the background of the episode. So Hayden approached me after we finished working together at a previous job that we both have actually left now. And I wasn't sure. I'm like, tabletop, is it really that big of a place? Like I hadn't been exposed to the community. And he spoke to me about like just jumping along to look at like a couple of sessions, and then also asked me about a game that I had. And didn't name it. He's like, go find a game on your shelf that you can't find online anymore. Just one. And I found 6. And that to me, not only the community, so at one of those games, which is my favorite game of all time, Expedition, and it's not the one you'll find on Google when you throw it in straight away, I can guarantee.
I don't know, yeah.
I had every time I took that to a person's house or an event, I even took it on a road trip once. Every single person I know who was like, oh, what's this? And we started playing, bought it without even thinking about it. And it is honestly one of my most favorite, simple to put in games, don't need a whole bunch of dice, cards. There's only cards. You play it together as a group. It's a storytelling game where you're all sort of reciting the story that goes around on the phone. So there's an application that goes with it. And you just all get into it together. There's no heavy role play. There's no, you need to know all the maths. It's just a simple pick up play game that's sort of like the gateway game to tabletop role playing. And
Okay.
to me, that was like that community that I built, even in just my friendship group that I already had, I made more people want to come into that board game space. And we had such a different experience than what we'd ever have. And myself and my friends, we consume alcohol. I know that you don't. And you used it as a parallel before. But we didn't, when we were playing the games, we didn't, like, we weren't just sitting around drinking and just having a chat. It was, we still had a beer or two, but like that was over like 5-6 hours, which is way less than what we would do if we were just sitting around by the fire or fishing or whatever we were doing. Like to me, it's like that really spoke to me on the fact that there is so much good that comes from these things, from like something that to an outsider who doesn't really understand it, like it won't make sense to them. Like it doesn't. It's not their way that they connect with other people. Yeah.
Until it is, until you introduce it to them and they fall in love, which obviously not everyone is. I'm being a bit facetious, but like, I think though there is like, that's one of the probably exciting parts of the current tabletop kind of industry is that whilst it can be, some people maybe I'm going to say sad that it's grown a lot and it's now full, like there's new games coming out every month and it's just intense. And sometimes that's difficult for people to adjust because it's like, well, I can't keep track of it all, and there's just too many, and blah blah blah. And that's fair. Like I feel that, but the flip side of that is there's now way more diversity of game options that more people can find stuff that suits them and their friends. And so you're not bound to just the main kind of 20 or 30 games from big companies that are coming out every year. It's just like hundreds to thousands of ones coming out, and you can go, okay, well, I want something, my friends and I want something that's this kind of style and this kind of theme, and there's probably a game that already does that, like, and I think that's, I mean, obviously one of the big commercial successes has been Wingspan with, the birds and how it's reached the birding community. And like, I think that's, I know that's like an outlier, so it's sometimes not good to reference, but like the fact that it wasn't a theme that was heavily used before it came out and it appealed to an audience who hadn't really played a lot of games before, but they had a passion for birds. And so it kind of was able to kind of dovetail and bring those things together. And I think in a similar way, there's other themes and other topics that come up or styles of play, and that's also why like I'm trying to get better at not be so judgmental is probably the right way of saying it, but like there'll be games that I see and I think, oh gosh, like that game just like doesn't appeal to me at all. Like everything about it is like off. And yet, then I'll see them find their audience and do really well. And it's just a reminder. It's okay. Well, it's not about me, obviously. It's about that game finding the right audience and those people loving it, and that's great. Like unless the game is like promoting values that I think are horrid, it's a good. I'm happy for them. So, it's just a reminder, and that also means when I'm doing playtesting events. So I help run some playtesting events up here, and we're just starting some new ones and meeting designers who are new to me, like they're maybe not new designers, but new to me, and different people with different kind of goals and backgrounds, and just being reminded, okay, like there's a whole plethora of games and they're not all going to be for me, but I need to listen to these people and hear who they're trying to reach and what their goals are and see if I'm able in any way to help them make it better. So, yeah.
It's such a interesting space to, I guess, grow and develop. Like we see a lot of different types of designers, and I think it's almost like the first thing I want to ask someone when I see them is like, what's your dream? Like, what's your goal? Like if I could ask you 10 years from now, everything you want to do, you're successful in. Just like that. Bang. Wish I had that power, but maybe someday. But if I had that and I could give that to you, what would it be? And that sort of like helps. Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to ask you that now. So give me 2 seconds to finish this one. Then it's all on you, buddy.
Sorry, I misinterpreted that. Then
it's okay. It's
yeah.
Right.
Broadly, you like to ask people that. Yeah, it's a good insight into kind of what's driving them, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, because you get the insight of like what's their aim, and you can, like you said, you tailor your mechanic, your criticisms, constructive, destructive, however you want to put it together, around those goals and aims. And I've been trying to sort of sit in that mindset as well when it comes to like looking at what we do with a marketplace, helping people get to sort of the next step, whether it's like their dream is to go to retail or whether they just want to have like a bigger studio, more games that they can sell in their own space. Like that's the sort of thing that I think really shapes the conversation that you have. And well, I'm going to ask you now, because you did sign yourself up for it, mate. So
Yeah,
10
yeah,
years, 10 years from now, everything
yeah.
you're dreaming of right now for yourself, you're successfully.
Mhm.
What does that look like?
I'm going to be pretty mundane in some ways. I think one issue that I've had, especially trying to build a board game business, but also I've had some other stuff going on, is just, I'm going to say stability, both financial, life, like just broad stability. I've had a very volatile number of years. And so, like, I think for me, that's probably the biggest thing. So, yes, I would like to obviously have commercial success with games that I've made and have things selling and all that kind of stuff and have an audience and be able to create new ones that people enjoy. But, like, I think for me, it doesn't have to be massive success. It's just like enough that I've got stability, enough that I'm paying the bills I need to pay, you know, all that kind of stuff, and not stressing about, you know, some of the life basics that we have to worry about. And so for me, that's kind of on a personal level, part of the goal. And part of that is with starting my own business is to also probably, it's going to sound weird because I know it's probably not true. I feel like running my own publishing company helps me control some of that. So I'm able to kind of figure out what energy am I putting into the projects, where am I going, how much am I going to promote them and not promote them, am I going to do it through channel A or channel B or channel C or whatever, you know, it is. And so whilst I'm still very much riding the ocean of normal business and you don't know what's going to resonate with customers, what's going to work practically with your finances and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not as beholden to another party. Like if I'm a designer who's pitching to publishers and getting games signed with publishers, you're sort of like, part of that deal is you're handing over the game to them, and it's now with them, and so that can be really good. Like if you find the right partners and the games resonate with people, then obviously it's the people who make it work really well. But for a lot of people, it's very hard, and the industry is like just so up and down that it's a big challenge to keep going and to make it work. And so for me personally, I feel like I'm trying to tackle it more by creating my own business and having my own channel to get the games out. But I'm absolutely aware I'm a tiny company, tiny individual, physically not very tall, and as you know, you've met me. But the and so it means that I know that, like, as I make games, there might be publishers who I do want to try and partner with and, you know, pitch my games to, either as me as Eris designing them or as Delta Phase, you know, co-publishing them with another company, whatever kind of works. And so I'm not close to that, but it's just like, I think by having my own company, I'm able to kind of, probably have control is probably what it is, part of it is, but like just kind of navigate some of those uncertainties how I want to, rather than necessarily just having to follow someone else's approach. So yeah, but look, I could, in a year's time, I might have a different attitude. I might be like, hey, this is like way too hard. What am I doing? So who knows? But that's kind of where I'm at right now, is that I want to try and build up, you know, release some games, build up a catalog, see how it goes with customers, and then figure out, you know, do I try and find publishing partners for, you know, to try and take the games to a bigger audience, or am I able to scale up myself? Like, I don't know, like whatever happens. Yeah.
Look, you said simple goals and stability. I think for, I guess, starting out, that's the goal. Like you're not there to be like, yep, first million in the bag. That's my first goal, like goalpost that I'm aiming for. Stability is definitely the way to go. And I think that's a very responsible way to look at it as well. Like everything you make decisions around in that is like, is this going to be a great, and I hate using the business term, like return on investment? Like, is the energy worth what I'm getting back for it? And that's not always a financial thing.
Yeah, and I mean, it is tricky because, like, you know, I'm just about to sign a contract to have a booth at a convention. I won't say what it is just yet because obviously I haven't signed the deal, but like, but for me, it's a more expensive one. So it's going to cost me, I think, around $600 for the booth, which is a lot of money for my little company right now. Yep. And it's not till like way next year, so it's months and months and months away. So like, I've got to make the decision now for this future point, and just hope that it kind of pans out. And It's a convention that is a newer one, so like I've never been to it, and in fact I don't even think it's run before this particular one up here.
Oh wow.
And so it means that I don't have any data really to go on, like what kind of audience can I expect, whatever. All I can go on is they've shown who else has already signed up. And so it's actually through a mutual friend of ours, who I'll tell you later who it was. So that's a secret for the audience to never know. They told me about it. And basically, so their company's going to be there, and there's some other board game companies going to be there, but it's also like it's not just board games. It's a bigger, multi-discipline kind of convention. And so the thing about it that for me is like I've had to make this choice, like, is this worth $600? Like, not only do I think I'm going to make any money from it, I'm probably not. I'm probably going to lose, because that's just the reality of, starting out in this kind of thing. But like, is it as a marketing venture, like to get my name out there to kind of make people aware of me, is it worth that money? Is this the right kind of audience? Like, do I think these people are going to care about what I'm making? Like, they may not, they might. And some of this, you just got to do it and find out. Like you said, we met at Tabletop Con last year, which is a convention on the Gold Coast. It was, sorry, not last year, this year. It just feels like a year ago, but it was this year. And that was in May. And that was my first time ever going to that convention. I'd never been before. And in fact, it was my first booth as Delta Face.
Wow. Okay.
That was like a few like learning things for me. And it went really well. Like, financially, it didn't go well. I only sold very little product, but I also didn't have much product to sell. So that was also just a reality of where I was at. But like, I demoed and playtested a lot of games and got good feedback, and just made a lot of like connections in terms of like just customers and people like interacting with the beat booth. And I had a lot of people stopping, and it just had a good buzz. Like the event had a good buzz. And so it was really positive. So, as soon as they opened up bookings, I booked right away, and I've got a booking for, 2025, and I'm looking forward to being there. And so but now I've got some information. I've now done one. I can kind of go, okay, what do I think I need to do better this year, like in the future with the next booth, and learn from that. And yeah, so, but it is risky when you're trying to expand new horizons. You don't know, like, is this event's going to be the right event? Is this, if I'm going to try and if I'm going to sign up with Indiverse, is it the right fit for what I'm doing? Like, what's the, and it's all just kind of learning as you go. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel that, man. I do. We're on that Ricky roller coaster as well. Just trying to figure out where everything sits. It's yeah, I think at this point in my professional career, I'd want to be doing anything else though. I think I've found what I want to do. Like, I think I found my calling, honestly. I just love everything about what we're doing. And it sits with me in the way that, like, I've worked in sales of various capacities for about 15 years or so. And I'm in my early 30s, so it's been most of my working life. And there's only been 2 times where I felt as like, not even passionate. This for sure, passionate, but the joy of coming in and working with the people that I did was working at a retail floor in JB Hi-Fi when I was like 20 years old, and doing what we do here at Indiverse. In just the people that you get to speak to, the experiences you have, and just the problem solving, fixing, helping people, and really feeling like making a difference, even though we haven't launched, we haven't got anything out there yet. Like, just feeling like that sense of community is something that I think is really unique to what we have here in the tabletop space, which is, I just feel kind of lucky to be a part of it. A little bit of imposter syndrome in there, like, because I don't make games, even though Mark Barron from Outward Gaming convinced me in our session the other day. I am a game creator. I make stuff. I just don't make whole games.
And also, there's no reason why you can't start anytime. Like, if you want to like pursue that, just do it. But I think I think the thing that's interesting about Indiverse, as I understand it, is the fact that you're trying to fill a niche that potentially isn't being filled very effectively. Like, there are some, ad hoc kind of stuff going on with people to support, smaller creators primarily and help get their games out there. But there hasn't been really as maybe a concerted kind of like singular place for that to happen. And so, yeah, like, I'm excited to see what happens with Indiverse, and, I'll be along for the ride, at least for part of it. I don't know the full story for me yet, but like, I'm definitely keen to, see what happens and be a part of it. So like, Yeah, I think it's also though trying to remember that like for creators, and then this maybe less for you, that like sometimes it is just basic business stuff. Like it doesn't have to be too thought out. Like it is just looking at the boring numbers and figuring out the realities of doing stuff, and that's like not fun, but like it's necessary. And so if you can find a partner, like whether it's Indiverse or someone else who can help you achieve that in a way that reduces your stress and, you know, hopefully helps you reach more people, then, you know, obviously that's what you're looking for. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the real inspiration that, like, the thing that made me see the problem that you mentioned, like it's not an audience that's being catered to, whether it's the designers or the consumers. Like the consumers that I think is really well catered to in the crowdfunding space, like Kickstarter and GameFound and every other crowdfunder that goes out there, they have the environment for those people. But what happens after that, I think, is where it really stung me a lot. So crowdfunding's like I won't sit here saying crowdfunding, Kickstarter do anything horrible for the people that they work with. They allow people to create things and build their own community and let themselves be the success story there. That's phenomenal. But after Kickstarter's done, there is a big lot of unknown. And again, no shade to Kickstarter. Their business works best when you're going to crowdfund something else. So they're motivated to put you into that space. Like you finish,
but also that
other.
is their business. Their business
Exactly.
is to kickstart new projects, and it's not to say, hey, we want to build up this, you know, long tail kind of channel. I think that one of the challenges is that a lot of people that go into making board games, and this certainly was true for me, you don't realize like it's a really hard business, and there's a lot of hurdles, and it purely from a numbers point of view, the numbers aren't as high as what a lot of people think. So a lot of board games look super professional, you know, like they're, and I'm going to pick up, this is the one that's popular, but like, you know, you'll see a really nicely made box and nice artwork and everything. But the truth is that, and you're going to get different numbers who you talk to, but as I understand it, the vast majority of games get one print run, don't get any more than that, just because they can't, like, there's not enough audience to sustain a second print run.
Yep.
And often that first print run isn't as big as we think. So, like, anywhere from as low as 1,000 up to maybe 10,000 for a bigger success. So you could average it to 3,000 to 5,000 maybe. And so if you think about it, that's like, well, if most of the games being made are kind of in that window of like smaller print run and only one print run, then it's sort of like games are precious in that sense. Like if you get it, like, you know, yes, they're going to be all the ones that break away from that and they do find much bigger success, obviously. But for you as a creator, it also means you've got to set your expectations to go, okay, well, I'm getting this print run. I want to try and hopefully get more, but like the reality is, just sheer statistical reality is it may not, it probably won't. So how do I make it work? And that's a tricky equation, because if you're only going to be selling, you know, 1, 2, 3,000 copies of a game, that's hard to sustain a living or a business, you know, on that kind of. So that's why you need to figure out how you approach that. So it's tricky, and I think what Indiverse or you're trying to help with is good, because it's like, okay, well, how do you help those creators that they've done a campaign, or they've done a print run through another, like they funded it another way, whatever it is, and they've got this stock, and it's, you know, the economics mean it's very hard to get it into distribution, because that has a whole lot of other fees and just realities that's attached to it, because you're shipping physical goods. So how do we make those games available, help those creators actually get some money back on their, you know, what they've made, and also help the potential people who want to enjoy that game actually find it. And so, yeah, I think it's an interesting proposition, and I think I really hope it works for Indiverse, because I think it it could be really good for that. So, but at the same time, I think that's also a worthy goal. Like, I know that when I've talked to some of the other like team members, mainly Hayden and from Indiverse, we've had big chats around what Indiverse is doing and just how I would fit into it in terms of, as you know, Delta Phase and whatever. And I think sometimes there's lofty goals and lofty ambitions, like, you know, oh, we want to do this, 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 and this, and there's all these million, and they're wonderful. But there's a part of me that's also like, no, like just having a really solid marketplace that reliably connects customers and vendors, like that's a big deal. Like that's actually just a really big deal in itself.
Yeah.
And then extra stuff is great, but like just being able to build that core is really like foundational and important. So like yeah,
That
I hope it
is,
works.
yeah, that's something that like finding what the launch build scope was, that was definitely one of the big hurdles for us, trying to figure out like what do we really need to give people the ability to sell their games, connect with those around them, promote themselves where they're selling, promote themselves others to come to the space and not just engage with it as a selling platform, but also as like a place to share about new campaigns coming up, new editions, old edition, revamps. Like it's all in that central place. And GameFound sort of did that from the crowdfunding perspective. And I have massive respect for what they did in just being like, cool, we've taken this massive crowdfunding thing, and rather than just making another crowdfunding platform, we've just taken the Kickstarter game like tabletop section, and we just want to do that. Just that. And they've had insane amounts of success because
I could be wrong. But I have a feeling they came at it from a different angle. I thought they weren't they a pledge manager originally, or was it
so they did start
GameFound? And then they added on the campaigns. So that's what their value proposition is. We do both. Like we're both. You can run your campaign and also do the post campaign management. Like there, whereas like Kickstarter has more limited features for the post campaign stuff.
and you have to go to things like Advocate. There's another one out there that does like your pre and post stuff as well. Yeah, that's what I think.
Well,
that's
there's like Backakit and other ones that are like, and I think Hive is one I've seen being used a few times now.
Yep.
And
yeah, heard that in the space a little bit as well. But yeah, the thing I think with that, regardless of like whether they're just a pledge manager, crowdfunding, like they are there for the tabletop space, and that's the thing that I really. That's another one big thing that was like, yeah, like if something like Game Found that it is like in a niche area, you like, and again, in a niche part of the business, like it's only like the starting points of like projects happening and like crowdfunding and that, then surely there's space for like Amazon, Etsy, whether you're looking at Square, Shopify, like all those areas exist for what Kickstarter does. They sell whatever's going. They do anything that's going out there. In the
I'd
spaces
say
that they operate.
Kickstarter's still different though, because Kickstarter very much is helping you raise capital to get your project made.
Yeah. But the target is like everyone and anyone who wants to make a thing.
Okay, I see what you're
like,
saying. Yeah,
that's
okay,
the aim. Like their audience is whoever's trying to crowdfund. Amazon or whoever's trying to sell something. Because they've got stuff to sell and they can legally do so. They're tailored to everybody. Our vision for it is like,
I see what you're saying.
We want to take
tabletop focused.
all that stuff we would like to have from our space. Because like if you're now go and try and find like a new developed designed tabletop game without doing any filtering that on Amazon or Etsy or anything like that. It's brutal. It is brutal out there. They don't do theming well because they have such wide audience nets. They can't have a lot of like the subcategories. Like if I was looking at tabletop games, I'd need to go to like cooperative competitive games. Then I would look at like themes, but like it becomes such a nesting problem of trying to dig through everything that's there in such like broad markets where tabletop people kind of just like to play tabletop games and probably have way too many of them. My bookshelf is getting way too stacked with them at the moment, but like a space for that is what we want. So it's not, you're not getting like teacup sets along with like your new and wonderful I don't know, Jane Austen themed RPG. I just pulled one out of my brain because I love the story brewers and what they do. But they're not, none of that cross pollination sort of happens. So having a focus for people to just want to pick up a new game and try something new. I think that's really the part that works well. Like it works well for other styles as well. Like I know it's into the video game space, but like Steam is like, that was the hugest shift of the video game thing where people could just start making stuff and putting it up there. Valve takes a percentage, much like what we're looking to do, but that's all they take. That's it. You want to go into more things? They're like, great, yeah, we have all these offers we can do with it, and we want to do the same. Like the thing that we see, and you spoke actually a little bit about it before, when you go post Kickstarter and you've got leftover games because they haven't sold, but you needed to get them printed in order to meet like minimum order quantities with your print houses, however you get it done. Those games there, that's the part that like you've already calculated how much you were going to make off that game. But a lot of the other distribution channels, they don't just take that chunk. that you've already pre-allocated. They also want to have distribution, housing, like warehousing stuff, managing stock.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, if you've done your job right, you can account for that. Like, if I knew that I was going to have a game that I was wanting to get into retail stores through distribution, like that was my plan, obviously I'd budget accordingly to make that happen. So I don't know. Like, I think part of the problem though is so many creators, they're just learning as they go, right? And so they don't know. Oh, okay, a distributor's going to have to take a cut. A retailer's going to take a cut. There's going to be other fees along the way as well. So you know, and suddenly this thing that you know is profit margin that you thought you might have, you don't have, and how do you make that work? And it's a tricky thing. So yeah, like I think that's experience. And look, and I'm not saying I'm a full-on expert. I'm not. I'm learning. I've done stuff. I've been around, but like there's still a lot of things I don't know and a lot of things I need to learn. And that's probably why this last year for me, so I've kind of officially launched Delta Phase around the time of Tabletop Con, so May this year. And this year has mostly been both just trying to make people aware that the company exists and it's going to be releasing games soon. And for me, also just networking. So like I've gone to a lot of events around Australia, and a big part of that is meeting people and figuring out, okay, is there something here that we can both benefit from, like in a positive, you know, way? And so, and that's worked out pretty good. Like I've made some networks. I've met with distributors. I've met you, like, and met other people, and like met other designers and other people who are running their own pub. Like they're similar to me. There's small companies of, you know, 2 or 3 people and one person, and kind of just learning from each other and sort of saying, well, how did you do that? What kind of printer did you use? Or how did you approach this problem? And so a lot of it's just been kind of learning. Like, so whilst I've been, trying to promote the company and, you know, try and build an audience and all that kind of just normal stuff, parallel to that, I've also been trying to figure out the business side of like, okay, well, if I am going to try and get a game to distribution, who's the right partner that I might want to go with, and how do they work from a cost point of view? So can I even afford to work with them? Like, you know, if I'm only printing 100 games, can I do it? Probably not, because 100 games is not very many. It's very expensive per game. So, you know, that means, okay, well, I've got to print 1,000 or I've got to print 1,500 or whatever. And then, okay, well, how do I do that? And so it's sort of just like kind of navigating those things and trying to take as much as possible, although that can be difficult, a bit of a longer term view than a short term view. So kind of go, all right, like I'm trying to just build experience and networks, and it may not pay off for a year, may not pay off for 2 years, but maybe in 3, 4, 5 years, it starts to sort of like make sense and actually begin to work. And it's just difficult because obviously, you know, I would love to have a financially solvent business that's like, you know, has regular income and all that kind of stuff happening. But at this stage, that's, you know, right now I'm in the construction phase, and so that means me putting into it more than receiving from it. So yeah.
Feel you on that one a lot too.
It is very startup kind of related, but obviously unlike a typical tech startup, these are like physical goods. You know, like we're making cardboard boxes of stuff. So like and that has its own challenges. Like I'm exploring, trying to learn how to do some video game development, and aside from the creative challenge, like part of it is this idea of, oh, okay, if I can make a digital product, well then it's an easy, like the to get that to people's hands is a bit of an easier step than physically getting a box to someone's, you know, house.
Very much so,
and so like it's got different challenges. It's got, like, I'm not saying one's easier or better. They've both got pros and cons, but like it's just more like, at least with the video game kind of thing, that particular hurdle of how do I get the product from me to you is much easier. It's like, okay, well, it just goes through the internet and it's there, like you've got it, like, so so but physical products are difficult, and it's mostly shipping, logistics, all this kind of stuff, which is expensive and painful and complicated and nowhere near as simple as anyone thinks it is. So
especially when you start looking at shipping overseas and stuff like that.
And everything, and like, if you are manufacturing, let's say you manufacture in China and you want to sell in the US and Europe, like, well, you probably need to have some kind of warehousing in those places and all this kind of stuff. And how do you do that? And then how do you find the right companies that can offer that for you at a price that you can afford, and because also, like, obviously every cost affects the price of the game, and so you don't want your game to suddenly be $20, $30, $40 more than a similar game from someone else, because people are rightly going to go, well, why would I pay so much more for this game? Like, is it really worth that? And that's tricky. Whereas, so you need to kind of be mindful of what else is going on. So yeah.
Yeah, and like there's a real education piece that we've been trying to nail on the head, and like it's been one of the things that we're trying to put in for one of our episodes with a specific again, not sharing, for like how do you
Stay tuned for later, listeners.
You gotta
Like
give me
and
breadcrumbs,
subscribe.
man.
Yeah.
There's something there that comes to like how do you price your game, and that's such a heavy question. And not to scare people away, but I think looking back at
I don't know. I feel like it's not that complicated for me.
But 10 years experience, and like I guess
Well, a
like,
little bit.
limits as
I've been
well.
around. Like, I've worked with publishers. I've done other stuff. So like I get it. But like, I think it's more, how do you price your game? I don't think that question is hard, because you just look at similar games, right? Like you look at similar games and you go, what are the people who I'm trying to sell this to? What would they be expecting to pay? What's their idea of value? Am I making a big box game with tons of miniatures and like, lots of brilliant art and lots of cards and lots of stuff? People who buy that, what's their kind of expectation for that kind of both quality and then price point? And if I'm selling a little card game, what's that kind of person looking for? And there's tons of variance in the market, obviously, because manufacturing and shipping changes things, and different business structures change things, but you can still get an idea. And so 100%. for me it's then I kind of tend to kind of pick what I think is the price point that is the sweet spot that I want to try and sell it for. And then I just try and figure out how do I manufacture it in a way that lets me do that and not lose money. And that means then I've got to make decisions. Oh, okay, well, maybe I've got to print 1,000. I can't just print a couple of hundred, or whatever. Or if I am going to print a couple of hundred, I'm doing it for a very specific reason. Maybe it's more just to try to test the market, but I know that they're probably going to be losing money, those particular units. So it's making those decisions, but yeah. And also like trying to think about, people aren't like, there'll be mean people on the internet, of course, but like people in general aren't like comparing your game. Like most people can't value the game for the game design quality. Like they can't go, look, this game is a better made game. Like the game design is better than this other game, because everyone's going to have different opinions about, like, you and me will disagree on what we think is a good game and a bad game.
Yeah.
And so there isn't this kind of like categorical thing you can go, this one's going to be good and this is going to be bad. So then the customer just has to go, well, what do I think is bringing me better value? Is it components? Is it print quality? Is it reputation of the publisher or the designer? Like there's someone who I trust, like I've had a good experience with them in the past. And so it means that then obviously a big one is price point. Can you make your price point attractive? Sometimes going too cheap is bad. Sometimes obviously being too expensive is bad. So you're just trying to figure out Anyway, sorry, I've gone on a tangent because it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, is price points for stuff. So
it is a tricky one, and I wish that there was well, I don't think you can. As much as we would wish for like a perfect formula, like something completely just like ironclad all the time. Like you say, there's so much in there that's subjective around like what value is and what each person wants and what they perceive as value when they're buying a game. Like for me,
I mean, there are rules of thumb, like in terms of production, like, and you've probably heard it, and maybe the audience has, but like with tabletop, it's often anywhere from 5 to 10 times the landed cost is usually what you want your recommended retail price to be.
Yeah.
And landed cost is the cost of printing and shipping to your warehouse. And so, the simple thing is then if it costs me $10 to print a game and have it shipped to my warehouse, if I multiply that by 10, that's 100. Well, then that's $100 game. And that's to account for distribution and retailer cuts, Yeah. And so that's a rubric that is used a lot by a lot of people because it's one that's thing. But obviously it is just a rubric, and it is just kind of a guide, because it doesn't take into account what are my business overheads compared to your business overheads? Like, you might have 5 employees, I've got 1. Well, you need to have more overhead because you got more, people to pay for.
Yep.
And stuff. And so that's where it gets a bit more tricky. But like, it's like there definitely is like wisdom that's been passed around that people use. But it does get tricky, and it also is about scale. If you've got a super successful game that is printing tens of thousands of units, every month, then how you manage that system is going to be different from someone who's printing 3,000 units, and that might be the only print run they do. So, it's going to be
Yeah, I think that brings us to a really important part. Is like it is a matter of like how you expect it to, like how successful you expect it to be, and that's not something that's really quantifiable when you're play testing and putting
No.
dice or cards or paper.
But also even
together.
even defining for yourself what is success. Like, and I mean, one of the putting back on when I graphic design work, if I'm working with a client, one of the things that is common to kind of ask them is, what is the measure for success for this project? Like, how are you, or we, if we're working this together, going to say that we succeeded in this project? Like, what are we defining that as? And often that can be like, really simple. Oh, we're trying to sell tickets to a concert, so we want to reach 100 tickets sold, and if we do that, then we've done our job.
Great.
Other times it's more hard to define, and so that's why, like, for you as the creator or the project person, like, figuring out what are we defining success at is valuable. And for many game designers, it doesn't need to be sales. It absolutely doesn't. Especially if they're doing it as a hobby, as something that's more a creative outlet, passion project, all that kind of stuff, then just trying to get bogged down in, I need to sell blah 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 number of games, like, that's probably not the right metric to use. If you're someone who wants to make it a career and you want to have income, well, then obviously you do need to start thinking about that. But even then, I know really successful designers who, they don't publish their own games. They pitch to publishers, and they're just trying to make the best games that they can, that then they can get licensed by a publisher. And they just hope that throughout their catalog, they have some that do relatively well, that they can get paid for it. And they know that some aren't going to do very well. And so they're not too worried about the numbers in that sense. Whereas like the publishers are going to be more concerned about the details of that. So, like, I think as a designer, just deciding what is your measure for success, and for you and for a lot of people, and rightly so, just getting that first game like physically printed and made is a huge hurdle. Like, it's a big deal, and it's hard. There's so many things to think about, and so like that can be a perfectly, like, absolutely wonderful just first measure for success. Can I get the thing to be real, like to be a real product that's going to be in someone's hand that they can play, a real game in that sense. And then and then as you go on, you define your own from there. Like sometimes for me, so my measures for success are nothing to do with the business, but to do with, did I solve a design challenge in a way that I think I haven't seen before? Like, it was a novel solution, or like a couple of my games have mechanics that I'm really proud of, and so no matter how well the games do in the market, I know that I feel good that I created those mechanics because they solved a problem that I thought I saw. So, like, that's part of it too.
Yeah, one of the things that I've really liked about our chat through today has been around like setting that goal. Like, it's a goal-oriented measures of success, whether you like your aim for yourself as a designer, like setting a goal, and it doesn't always have to be so set in stone, like you said. Like, some people just
fluid,
there's a lot of things that you sort of take the time to look at and be like, reassess, like, is this the right path? Am I moving through the right direction? And that's one of those things that I don't think that a lot of people have, not the ability to, but it's not the way that they think or they go to like any project with. Like, they sort of have that goalpost that's like way off in the distance. And whether that's for tabletop, like they said, going into retail, getting into distribution, like, I think that and one of the things that I've really noted, and maybe it's my sales background, or maybe it's just the way that I felt about like the independent space for a long time, is that there's a lot of effort and energy. So if I've got a game, I just gone out the tail end of Kickstarter, there's a lot of energy that went into that. A lot that goes into the whole process of getting whatever I've got left over because I haven't sold out a Kickstarter. there is also from that, there's a massive amount of energy because you have to shift the entire process of how you present the game if you're going to like pitching it to production houses, however you're going to pitch it out. Like that in and of itself is a lot of work. And a lot of people will tell you that's extremely difficult to do, like to get in there well. And then once it's there, there's a whole bunch of new challenges that you have to go through as well. So one thing that I've always wondered is like, why don't people take some of that energy into like pitching the game that's already sold well to continuing that? So rather than just sort of like letting it drop off, why do they not keep post crowdfunding, like advertising in the spaces they've been into, making the environment be like, hey, crowdfunding's done, you can still buy this thing, we're still making new things for it, we want to try and create new bits in it, like putting the energy into themselves rather than trying to like push it out the door to somebody else, in very broad terms.
I guess, like, I probably would disagree. I think a lot of people do try to do that. Insofar as, you know, if you've just printed 1,000 copies of your game, you want to sell 1,000 copies, and your Kickstarter might have had 200 or 300, let's just say, in a made-up example. So you've got 700 units left. So trying to, you know, promote it and sell it post campaign is obviously real important. So I think people do try and do that. I think it's just that it's hard. It's hard to do, and also, like, and you know this from marketing, like, depending on where you're going with it, it costs a lot of money. And so you've just crossed the hurdle of raising the capital to actually get the thing printed. And usually you're going to have your Kickstarter goal as low as you can reasonably do because you want to make sure you succeed.
Yeah.
So, like, you're already kind of potentially running fine there, depending on if it overfunded or not. And so then you might be like, well, I don't have an extra X number of $1,000s to kind of spend on promoting and marketing the game. And so that's just a reality you got to work within. I think also, like, maybe I misinterpreted part of what you were saying originally, but like, there are definitely people who pitch games that have been printed already to publishers to get looked at again, whether it's to get reprinted or to get rethemed, or to sign the design over to a, you know, different publisher. And that's completely common. Like, a lot of publishers who I've seen talk, and either I've talked to directly or I've just seen them, you know, comment on you know, posts or on podcasts. They don't have to have a new game in the sense of it be a brand new design. If it's a good game, then they'll look at it. And if it's a good game that has had some sales history that they can look at as well, then they can go just purely business. Like, okay, do we think we can take that game to the next level, reach a wider audience, bring it to a market, like maybe a geographic audience that this original publisher wasn't able to reach or whatever. And so, like, sometimes they do that, and there's obviously famous designers who have their games go through multiple publishers and themes, and like someone like Reiner Knizia is really well known for that, where you'll see a game design that he's had over maybe, you know, 20 years. It's been with 5 different publishers, potentially had a theme change here and there, but the core game is the same, and that's just the nature of, you know, how these things can work. And so I think, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think people do want to make it happen, but there's also probably depends on who it is, right? Like, if you're a creator and your passion is designing, creating games, then all of that post-campaign marketing, sales, blah blah blah, that's just not your bag, right? That's not where you want to be. That's not what you're wanting to do. And so the excitement is coming back and saying, how do I make another game? How do I make an exciting game? And so, and that's where, like, for those people, maybe not self-publishing is a better option, like finding a publisher and giving the game to them, because then that person can just focus on design and not have to worry about all the other stuff as much. But if they are wanting to self-publish, then they just need to know, well, they either need themselves to be able to compartmentalize and work in put different hats on and do different roles, or they need to find people who they can work with as, you know, partners or contractors or whatever, to fulfill those needs and have them do those jobs. So, yeah.
Again,
it's just tricky.
Goal oriented, like what you want from it, what your end goal is, that's how you sort of make those decisions. Yeah.
Well,
So
I think so. Like, but I think that's me just probably being pragmatic. It's like, but you can also do it the other way. You can also look at it less goal oriented and more like, okay, me, Eris, I know my strengths are A, B, and C. So if I want to make a business doing this, everything that's not A, B, and C, I need to find somebody to help me with.
Yeah.
And I already know, like, I've been talking to a friend and potentially they will be my fulfillment person. So when I start making games, you know, like and obviously they will have to work out how they get paid, and it's all like, so it's not like it's, you know, it's all going to make everyone happy, but like it means that I know for me, packing and shipping games is probably not my strength. I'm not going to be very good at it. Like I can do it to a point, but if it's not probably the main thing. So if I can have that person who is very good at it do it, then that just makes sense, and it means I'm not stressed about that anymore. Yes, I'm having to pay for it, so it increases my business overheads and all that kind of stuff, lowers the margin. But like, it means that I'm able to kind of go, that's not my thing that I can do very well. Is there someone who can help me with that? And you know, and other parts, like, you know, I've struggled writing rules for my games, like the actual writing the rule books. So finding people who can help me with that and having people proofread it and all that kind of stuff is important, like, because I know that's not my strength. Like I'm better at other parts of the process. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I wanted to cycle back just a little bit. You said that like putting in the effort and energy into things that you're not proficient in, or they're not your top skills. I think that like being able to offload that in whatever capacity you do. You talk about like revenue going down, but then it means that the time that you would spend in that space, and let's say that the things you're top tier, that's like, yep, 100% energy to output, like that converts 1-to-1. Your energy going into something that you're not super good at, you're going to put in 1 energy for like maybe 80% of the outcome that you would usually get for something that you're proficient in.
Or 10%, depending on what it is.
depending on how nice you want to be to yourself. But
Yeah.
it's like you take that time where you're not being as effective and you put it back into the things that you can be effective at. And like that in and of itself, if you spend, rather than spending 3 hours packing and shipping, and you're already designing like the expansion or the next game or next thing that you already like, that's your bread and butter, like that adds that value back in. Maybe not directly right now, but it's 3 hours that you're not spending months, weeks later.
And also, there's multiple ways to cut. There's a lot of ways to cut the pie, right? And so you can also look at it like realistically. If you're a small business, I'm a small business, have very low capital, right, to pay for stuff. So the reality is, I may not be able to pay someone to do the role that I can't do. So that's just a hard reality. Okay, I don't have the money to pay that person to do that role. So then what do I do? Well, I have to then figure out, okay, if I'm going to do it and I'm only going to work at 10%, it's a really hard task for me to get done, then I need to build into my planning, okay, well, this task is probably going to take me 10 times as long or whatever as someone else doing it. But that's just the reality I'm in. I can't afford to pay them. And so like, okay, well, I just need to allow for that. And I need to not beat myself up that that's taking 10 times as long and trying to do it. And this is me self-talking, not so much, I'm not living it just yet. I'm trying to get better at it. But there are some tasks that I've, you know, had a really hard time getting done. And but the truth is I just need to remember that we have to work with what we've got and, you know, do the best you can. And that's part of it. But also that's what I was going back to, like the networking stuff. Like I think we're a small industry in many ways. In some ways we're huge, but in other ways we're still a very kind of cottage industry kind of style thing. So lots of little creators, you know, working and figuring out what to do. And I think that's where the networking stuff, and I mean networking in a positive sense, not the kind of slimy networking, but like building some genuine connections, being a real person, actually seeing how you can help each other. Like, you know, I'm working with an artist, like so Josh, who's doing the art for Sugarrr. He's currently doing it for me pro bono, so I haven't paid him yet. But we've been working out. We had a big conversation the other day. We had a big meeting about it all. And just to figure out, okay, well, this is a serious thing. It's work. I'm planning on releasing a product that hopefully makes money. So we want to make sure that we've got, you know, it worked out. And he just reminded me, it's like, well, we can do skill trading. Like you've got skills I don't have, so we can swap. And, you know, there's other ways to do it. Or we do look at other ways of compensating, you know, once the product starts making some money, whether it's royalties or some other kind of, you know, payment scheme. But it's just like, but part of the reason was he really wanted to draw dinosaurs. So he was like, I want to draw dinosaurs, so can I be a part of this? Like, I want to help out. And so in that sense, it was already a win-win because he'd been playtesting the game. He's a local designer, comes to some of our playtesting events. And I was talking to him about my ideas for it, and he was just like, "Can I draw the dinosaurs?" And I'm like, "Well, sure, but like I can't really pay you right now. Like I don't have the budget for that." And so it was just like, but it was one of those things about reminding that this is good networking. Like this is community working together. Obviously, I'm not saying you should always try and find people who work for free. You know, I definitely don't work for free for everyone. Like there's, you know, I need to pay my bills. It's the work I do that I charge for. So you can't do it for everyone, but like where possible, sometimes there are options that you can find ways that both parties can still, you know, be happy with whatever's happened. And yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, and I think that's just a reminder though that that networking and connection stuff is super important. And even beyond just that practical thing, just even knowing your options, like. If I'm going around Australia, going to conventions and meeting people, I'm like, oh, okay, I now know there's not just one distributor, there's like 3 or 4 or 5, like, and they all have their different strengths and their different weaknesses and pros and cons, and that's good. Like that helps me have more options when I'm always going to look to get my game printed. Well, there's heaps of printers, and they've all got different, you know, pros and cons with them, and so it's just about kind of trying to learn as you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the aims of what we're trying to do here is like just getting people to speak about their experience. And it's like so I come from a background of sales and the education piece, so onboarding and training and facilitation and all that. And like and I did it through university, and I taught martial arts for a long time as well.
Oh wow.
I know, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I actually have taught people to do a lot of things, and I really enjoy it. Like bringing people together, learning a thing is just something I love doing. Sharing knowledge, I think, is one of those things that's really powerful. And one thing that always stuck out for me from the very first time that I got taught to teach is that if some person asks a question, likely there are 5 to 10% of people in the audience that are going to have the same question. So the more people we can speak to, the more people we can get out there, talk about their experiences, the challenges, the things that make things hard, but also talk about the wins. Like you've got games out there, you've got Sugarrr that's coming out soon that I got a chance to play, and I'm so excited to play and hopefully be a little bit better at next time. Let's hope a little bit better at.
But I can't remember how you did. Did you not do very well?
No. I had a perspective of how I was going, and I don't think I scored badly. I just think the other people were playing better than me.
I taught the game to my nephew today. Managed to catch up with him for morning tea, and he hadn't played it, and so taught it to just 2-player. And I thought I was beating him. I thought I was doing really well, and then we added up the scores, and he beat me with like 35 points. I'm like, you're kidding me? Like, what the heck?
Just clicks for some people, man. There's a bit of luck and chance in there as well, so it's not entirely skill, which we can both like wear it like as like a little like safety
no.
I
think there is luck and chance, but obviously the skill isn't how you mitigate that. So
that is true.
It's one of those things, but it was just but it was also he reminded me that he tends to beat me at pretty much every game we play anyway, and I had conveniently forgotten that he is very good at playing games. So like,
it's a gift, man. Some people have got it.
In terms of other stuff, though, I will just give a shout out to myself for God's sake. So that's my other game that I'm so Sugarrr and For God's Sake are the 2 that I am hopefully going to be releasing very early next year. The ones that I'm
For God's sake. Is that coming up?
Yeah, it's probably been in development a bit longer than Sugarrr, but depending on how you define it. Again, game development is really not straight line for me. Yeah. So For God's Sake's a drafting game, but with a unique drafting system. But the main crux of it is really kind of engine building versus engine running. So you're trying to build an engine, which in this case is building temples, or you can run the engine, which is worshipping at the temples to get blessings from the gods. And so you kind of got to each round, you're going to choose, what am I trying to do here? Am I trying to continue to make my engine better, or am I trying to run the engine now and hopefully get a good return on it? And yeah, I'm really proud of it. I think it's a solid game. It's been developed for a long time, and it's at a point now where it just needs to get finished. And so just got to make these kind of decisions around the practicalities of, are we sticking with the current art? Am I going to get new art for it? Because currently the art was I only intended to be for prototyping, but it's had a pretty good feedback. So there's a part of it that's like, well, maybe I just use this art going forward. Like, So yeah, just the practical stuff and making a rule book, which I've been trying to make a rule book for a year, and I just keep putting it off and not doing very well. So that's the big hurdle for that one.
Like
But
you mentioned,
if things go to plan, and this is my projection, putting it here first, not really first, but here publicly, I'm really hoping to have Sugarrr available for sale at CanCon, which is in January in Canberra. So that's the big goal for that one, and then if I can swing it to have For God's Sake available at Tabletop Con in May. So probably not huge quantities. I'm probably just looking to do a very small print run of 100 to 200 units and just sort of test the waters, see what the response is from the community.
yeah.
Because obviously I feel like I've gotten good response from playtesters, but playtesters versus people actually putting their money into buying something is a different thing. So
Whole different ballpark, man. Yeah. 100%.
yeah, and understandable. Look, I know we've all got to be, make decisions that make sense to us with our money, so makes sense. But like, yeah, so that's my immediate plans for those two games, and then I've got another two that I'm hoping to have released either later this year or later 2025 or early 2026. So yeah.
Wow, fabulous, man. It's good to see that you have so much in the works as well as trying to like build a publishing house and that, man. I don't know how.
Oh well, they're just the like most of the times I've actually got more. So that's the ones that are kind of, I'm going to say, closest to being like finished and ready for making.
Yeah.
But I've got two others that are in the pipeline as well, and then I've also got like some older designs that I'm looking to probably, they were done with someone else, and that I've got the rights to them. So like basically trying to redo them, but my own way. So. And that means they're kind of in that sense easier because the design's done. It's just reassessing it. Is there anything I want to change? Anything that, in the years since they came out, I've learned and maybe want to upgrade. But like broadly speaking, I'm not starting from scratch. They're done. And then I have a super secret project, which I tell some people, so it can't be that secret. But I've got a design idea for one game in particular that I really want to try deciding next year. It'll probably be a multi-year project. It's a pretty big ambitious game. But
okay.
I have this idea for a bigger, heavier Euro, and I want to give it a go.
You've got me interested. Yeah. Obviously not for right now, but if ever you need someone to talk to about it, the ears are always open, man.
Yeah, right now it's just notes and in my head. I haven't started making a physical prototype, but I've been kind of refining the idea and talking to different people when I can't contain myself, and I'm pretty excited by it. And I think even if it doesn't turn out as the current concept, I think the core of it excites me. So I'm just looking forward to seeing where it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be a thing for you. Like if you find it to not be like you assess it, go through your rubric of like, is this going to be one of those things that I sell? It might not be. But the fact that you're talking about how excited you are about putting it together, maybe that's the win for you. And you take little bits of that and move it to other games that you're like, yeah, these make the cut for like what I want to get out there and want to publish and want to sell.
Usually for me, most of my games start with a mechanic. So I tend to be the kind of person that, oh, okay, I've got this kind of card interaction or this scoring system or this whatever, idea. And then I kind of build a game around that and then find a theme that seems to resonate with it. And then I kind of go bounce off both. So now I've got a theme, I can then, maybe the mechanic needs to change because the theme, doesn't make sense with the theme as much. But often a lot of my games start with mechanics, but this Euro design is very much a theme driven, like one where there's a historical event or like thing that happened. And I find it very interesting and fascinating, and I think, oh, this could be a good seed of the game idea, and so then trying to build it out from that. And that's probably the exciting part for me is that, and also I've got some terrible puns already planned out for the game, so I'm excited by puns. So that's also part of it. Yeah.
Oh man, after my own heart, I love a good pun every once in a while. Actually, I say once in a while. I mean, as often as they can come out, I'll take it.
Well, you played Sugarrr. All the dinosaurs are like pun names in Sugarrr.
I loved them. I cracked up for every single one, and like, so I got a triceratops.
Triceratops because it's a pear and a triceratops mashed together. Yep.
And I know that Hayden got his partner, his wife, a Rex.
Yep, Tyrannosaurus Rex.
That's it. I can't. They're just so tiny, but I love them. I'm like the designs. They're cool. They're like topical, colored, themed around like the fruit and then the dinosaur as well. To me, I was so giddy about it.
And the whole reason that came about was I'd had dinosaurs in the game and normal dinosaurs and playtesters, and they're eating fruit, right? So the way you score points in the game is if the dinosaurs eat the matching fruit, they get points because they've eaten the fruit. So we've got like dinosaurs, like that's a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Adorable.
And then we've got a Spinapledosaurus, which I can probably bring up closer.
Beautiful. Yeah, that looks great.
It's pineapples, and then we've got the Velociraptors.
Yeah. I mean, they're purposely my favorite by default, but like that's
Diplodocus, so blueberries, but Diplodocus. This was the hardest one to say. Apricotolophus.
Oh man, I'm not gonna. Apricot. Nah,
it's a Parasaurolophus, but with apricot. And then we had the Triceratops, which we talked about before. And so the whole reason these hybrid, dinosaurs came out was because I had normal dinosaurs, and a minority of people, but a vocal minority, was like, oh, modern fruits didn't exist when the dinosaurs were around. So these dinosaurs would never have eaten this kind of fruit. Or these dinosaurs were meat eaters. They wouldn't have eaten the fruit anyway. And I was just like, well, okay, but I still want the fruit in the game. I felt like that was a good fit for how the game played, and it was kind of a fun, like, vibrant thing. And so then talking with Josh, and this is why he agreed to the art, he was like, let's do these like hybrid animals that are part fruit, part dinosaur, and that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah.
So, and it's made it fun. Like, yeah. I think it's fun anyway. I'm biased.
Can't imagine why. Hey, I liked it too. I thought it was really fun. It's not the kind of game I would usually play, and I think I had that little thing you talked about with like the real-time game with your game. Like for me, like card matching pattern stuff is like not usually something that I put myself into. I'm kind of the person who doesn't ever say no to trying out a new game, but I feel like I load myself a little bit like yourself. Like I hear about it, I get a little prejudgmental because it's not something that I usually facilitate or get to play. But I was so surprised at how much I just like the simpleness and yet the complexity of the game that you have there meant that I could have that community building space where I got to meet and talk to the people around the table who were there to also try out and play their games. Like it is such a different experience because I came to the table with a different goal for myself when I came to play the game. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that I'm learning as well. Like I need to take that same step that you did. Like I need to go out and play everything because I'll find out more about.
I mean, the usual tip for game designers is just play as many games as you can, right? Like that's a commonly bit of advice that's given, and it's not because you have to love everything. It's not because you're going to try to love everything, but it just helps you understand. It helps you understand what games are out there, what kind of systems and mechanics and themes and all that kind of stuff exist. But it also means that like. One other way, and I think it was Richard Garfield who said it, but another famous designer who I've forgotten on a podcast I listened to like 10 years ago. But one of the things that they would do is they would look at games that they didn't resonate with. So let's pretend it was like a Warhammer minis kind of game, right? Yeah. They might look at that and go, not really my thing. I'm not really interested in doing that. But they'll try and learn it enough. And the big reason for learning it is, the people who love it, why do they love it? And what can I learn from that? Like, so it's like, what is it about that game that makes these people just become so passionate about it and just, it becomes their main thing? And it isn't that you want to try and emulate it, but it's like you're trying to understand just more about what makes games exciting for people and fun and like motivating. And for some people, it's really basic. It is collecting. It is like, the product of the kind of artistic physical kind of component to it. For other people it's just the gameplay experience. It's like, oh, I really love playing a really loud boisterous game where we all laugh together, and if that's what makes a game worth playing for me. And for other people it's like, oh, I've got this puzzle that I need to solve, and trying to figure out this puzzle and do the solve it in the best way is like super satisfying and enjoyable. And like I'm just trying to learn from that. And so I think that's what I try and bring now when I'm playing games. And even when I'm hearing games that I don't know aren't for me, I try and think, okay, but for the audience that this is for, like, why do people love Munchkin? Like, honestly, I don't get it. Munchkin's not, for me, not that fun a game.
Yep.
But it has a huge audience, like an absolutely massive audience, and
yeah,
tons of people love it. And so, what can I learn from that? Like, if I ever want to make a game in that sphere, but it's also even not about trying to, like, in some kind of, just money making, or how can I target that audience? But it's also like, I've discovered that there's now games that I think I want to make that are outside my normal scope, because I've discovered that there was fun in them. Like, oh, okay, that actually is more fun than I thought it was going to be. And, a game like Munchkin, Whack Leader, play crazy card combos, like, okay, there's fun there. I can get it. Maybe I don't love the whole thing all the time, but, like, I can see why some people love it, and it really works for them. And yeah, so, like, that's kind of part of the journey I'm on as well. But don't always get it right. It's definitely games that I sometimes react negatively to, and then later on realize, oh no, actually I had more fun than I thought I did at the time. Or I played again. You play with a different group or a different headspace. Maybe you're not as tired, or you've had some more water or whatever, and you have a better time. So yeah.
Yeah. It is like one of those things. It's never a silver bullet approach, especially in the creative space. No matter what you're doing, I think that's always going to ring true. Like. And a lot of people talk about luck when it comes to, like, succeeding in that. And sometimes it is that, sometimes it's not. I reckon, for me personally, I think there's a lot that people can do to help themselves. And I could soapbox and sit here for hours and tell you about some of the things that I think might be helpful for, like, inspired developers and that. But I don't make games, and not to disparage myself or anything like that. But it can't just be me talking to this camera, being like, "This is what you should do," because I'm not the expert. You're not the expert, no offense, but, like, there is no like playbook for this thing yet. So, going out there, like, learning what's for you that's part of the journey.
But I think also, I probably would disagree with you slightly. I do think, at a purely, like, can this game that I'm making become a success and make a lot of money, right? Let's say that's what you want. That, I think that is, to a very large extent, luck-based. Like, there are tons of examples of people who have made brilliant games, even ones that have had the support of a big publisher with marketing budget and all that kind of stuff, and they still haven't, managed to become evergreen titles that tons of people want all the time.
100%.
And then there's ones that you just think would never happen. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but if you described to me Gloomhaven, I would never have thought that would become the knockout success that it has been.
And
right?
Because
everything about it, though, like, it's big, it's heavy, it's expensive, it's like all these kinds of things that usually would put people off, became, like, the core parts of it's, like, what made it good. And so, like, I think there is an element of luck, but I think that's why, like, yeah, you do what you can to mitigate it. You try and do your best, make your best product, all that kind of stuff, like, and all the normal businessy, like, just do things to try and do it better. But at the same time, you just have to accept that, well, there's a certain part here that fate does have a hand in, and that's just what it's going to be. And all you can do is try and set yourself up to, if something good does happen, that you're in a position to try and make the most of it. And it's
I think for me, the perspective is not that luck shouldn't be a part of it. I think that the thing that gets me is, like, if I want to succeed and I want to do this as my career, my day-to-day, I want to put every action, every bit of energy that I put in, whether it's at that 100% or that 10%, if it's just me doing my own thing, that everything that I do is working towards that. If it's working towards it for somebody else, or it just relies more on luck, then I feel like it's tipping the scales a bit too much. I want as much control of the things that I can work with, and put all those energies and efforts into the things that I can, to mean that luck is less of the scale than I'm trying to, well, less of the the end goal, to get something that's successful. And that's one of the things that I think that I really want to start digging into with having these discussions. Like, what are those things? Like, and this is where we like to, this is the question that I like to ask everybody, is like, if you could take one idea, one piece of advice, one piece of knowledge, and implant it, you can't have a conversation with yourself, but implant that piece of knowledge or lesson learned into Eris 10 years ago, making your first game, Robots and Rockets, or rockets and robots, whatever it was. I can't remember which one it was.
Robots and rockets. Yeah,
I should have stuck with it the first time.
you got it right. You're fine.
Yeah. What would that piece of information, that knowledge, that lesson, what would that be?
And this is probably where I sound like a wanker because, like, I don't know what the swear ratio is on this podcast, but like,
Okay.
I think I actually in some ways feel like I approached things almost better back then. Not maybe as a game designer, like the design, I've learned a lot, and I think I make quote unquote better games now than what I made 10 years ago. But like, I think I was pretty. I think I didn't go into it with too much rose-colored glasses. So I wasn't expecting to make $1 million game. I wasn't expecting to suddenly, be next to on the shelf at the shop.
Lofty goals, there, I'll tell you.
I mean, they are, and at the time, I'll be honest, I was friends with the guy. We've kind of just lost contact, but like I was friends with the guy who was the graphic design lead for at Mattel. So like I talked to him about like he sent me the die lines for the Mattel card size so I could kind of know how big the card was and stuff. So like it wasn't like totally crazy. I mean, and actually, he played a copy of the game with a prototype copy with some of his Mattel friends, and obviously nothing happened. Otherwise, I would have been published by Mattel. But like, it was like so it wasn't totally crazy to think about that sort of stuff. But like, I didn't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to become the next whoever famous designer making it. I think what advice would I give?
It's a hard one. It really is.
And probably for me, it's personal as well. It's probably something to do with like not taking the knocks too personally. So whether it's negative feedback, whether it's the game not selling as well as you'd hoped, whether it's the relationship with the publisher maybe not always being perfect, or like whatever it is, like just the little hurdles that come along or the big knocks, whatever they are. Because for me, I often would take a lot of them as like, well, that's I didn't do something right, or I'm the one who bears responsibility for this thing. And yet sometimes, maybe even most of the time, it is just other factors at life at play, or it's just other people having their own say, and that's fine. And so, and that's probably the biggest challenge also with getting games out into the world, and something I'm a bit nervous about as I start releasing these games under Delta Phase is people are going to review them. They're going to leave their feelings about them. They're going to, both on informal, like places like Board Game Geek, or maybe more formal if they're an actual reviewer. And there's going to be a lot of people that don't like my games. That's a fact of life. And so am I equipped to deal with that? And, what's the right strategy to approach that? So I think it's probably something around that is probably what I try and work with myself on. But I don't know. It's hard to answer that question.
It is. I love it. And like you say, it's not always going to be something professional that you have. Like, you are a person at the end of the day. Every designer out there is a person. So like taking care of yourself is a massive part of, having the energy, going into like a healthy mindset every day. Like that's, it's as simple as like getting up every morning. Like those are the things that you have to do to keep yourself in there. You can't make the best game in the world if you're only feeling 10% because, the headspace isn't right, house isn't right, stability is like, you can't do that. Being kind to yourself is a massive thing that I think that, over the last like 10, 15 years has been a real focus for like the community culture as a whole, at least I know for here in Australia. So yeah, no, that's a great thing. Like I think be kind to yourself.
And I think especially when you're doing this, because most designers, like nearly all of us, it's not our full-time job, right? Like we have to do other work just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And so being aware of that and going, okay, well, this isn't my full-time job, and maybe that's a choice. Maybe that's just like, I'm deliberately like I've got another career I'm very happy doing, and this is just a hobby, passion project. For other people, it's like, no, this is my reason for being is to make games, and I just have to pay the bills, and so I do other work to kind of help make that happen. But I think that also just means then, like being able to take time and be a bit more real with what's going to happen. And I've said, look, I want to release these games at these deadlines because I've got these conventions that I've booked in for and stuff. But the truth is, if something comes up and it means I can't meet that deadline, I mean, not ideal, not what I'm aiming for, but like I certainly am going to like just try and do my best to adapt and work with it. And that also means for me, yeah, you mentioned before about being goal oriented. I think it's probably is a part of that, just trying to reset the goalpost and go, oh, okay, I was aiming for this level of whatever achievement. That's not going to happen now. Can I reduce it a little bit and still meet a different level that's still good? It's still going to be a good thing, but is that possible? And there might be a basic thing like, do I go with an Australian printer for a small print run who, their quality maybe isn't quite as good as an overseas one, but they're local and I can go and physically pick up the product and talk to them in person and all that kind of stuff? Or do I go with an overseas one, but then it's going to take maybe 3 times as long because like they're overseas and the time is different and potentially cost more or cost less. Who knows? It depends on all the system.
Yeah.
And, and just kind of go, well, where do I put that bar? Like, okay, maybe I can't get the one, like maybe the local one, their cards might be really good, but the box quality might not be as good as the one from China, for example. But maybe that's okay. If I'm only printing a small print run and it's more for real enthusiasts right now, like people who've played the games and just want to copy it, so it's not necessarily trying to sell it to just everyone, then that might be fine. And just trying to keep running that calculation and doing the best you can. And yeah. And obviously, like, I'm approaching it a bit differently from some other people. Like, I know that my business plan or approach is not typical. I'm probably not looking to do a Kickstarter right away, like, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff about doing a successful Kickstarter that I need to learn and I want to learn. So
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if I'm ready for it yet. I am planning on having a meeting with someone from Kickstarter, though. They've got a games outreach person, and so I'm going to try and have a meeting with her and just talk through some stuff because she might tell me information I'm not aware of, and that might change my mind. But like,
Yeah.
But also, there's also things even with Kickstarter or Game Founder, whoever. Like, it could be that I even pick a smaller project, like less cards, less whatever, and just do a test run and kind of learn the ropes that way. And like there's multiple ways to try and do it. So yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
We'll be kind to ourselves. Learn as you go. And be kind. Like learning through experience is a massive thing there. Okay. I love it.
Yeah, and I was talking to a young designer, and I say young, I mean new designer.
Yeah.
I mean he is young to me because I'm old, but like and he's just trying to navigate his first kind of few game designs and figuring out, do I try and do a Kickstarter, do I try and find a publisher? And and he'd just spoken to a printer to get some quotes, and he messaged me after that. And that was like, oh, I've got like so much to learn. And I'm like, yeah, you do. But that's why you do it. You do it to learn.
Yep.
Like you might make mistakes. You might not listen to the right advice. You might listen to the right advice and it still go wrong. Like that's all part of it. And it's a hard lesson to learn. And I certainly don't always feel good if things don't go right. Like if I have a booth or a stall at a place and I'm trying to sell games and do that and they don't sell and no one seems to care, then obviously that's tough and you've got to figure out, well, what do I do about that? How do I make it better next time? And that's a definite challenge, but I'm not saying it's easy, but it is trying to realize that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and you kind of just learn every time you fall over.
Journey before destination. It's a tried and true, and it sits no matter how you do it.
It does depend on your goal. I think that advice only really applies if you're wanting to be a kind of career designer. Like if you want to make multiple games, be creative and doing more, then you look at it as a long-term thing. But there are definitely people who are like, I've got this one idea for this one game that for me is the perfect game, and once I make that game, I'm fine. I'm done. And I think that's okay too. And we need to also remember that those people, like, they shouldn't be shamed, or we shouldn't just frame all the advice just around people wanting to make it a career. Because, like, for some people, it is just a passion project or an art project or a creative outlet, or maybe they've got a group of friends who they meet with, and it's a group activity, like a way that your friendship group, bonds. And so
Yeah.
all of that is completely fine as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do creative stuff. It just really depends on where you want to be, how you want to end when you're done with
And
making
we're also in
tabletop games.
we're also in a place now, which is great, where there's at least 3 major, 4 if you include the Aussie one, companies that do very high quality print on demand game manufacturing.
Yep.
So that just basically means that, like, if you do only want to have 10 or 20 copies of a game made for you and your friends, there are ways to do that now that it's very professional quality. They're basically the same as a retail game for the most part, and you can have that without needing to print 1,000, without needing to go, into debt or whatever, like, to make it happen. So yeah, like, and that's a really wonderful thing. And also along that lines, we also do have all up the chain. We've got printers now all over the world, and so you can pick what seems right for you for what your goals are. Who can print super high quality games, and often, like, 1,000 might sound like a lot for units for a product, but like it really isn't. Like, that's a pretty low number. And so it's pretty amazing that you can get professional quality games made for just only getting 1,000 of them made. Like, if you think about it, in another company, like another industry, like, can you make like fruit juice with only making 1,000 bottles? Like, is that, often you'd probably want to be making a lot more to make that work. And so it's pretty interesting that we can do it. Like, there is companies that will do that and do very good work. And it's, in that sense, it's pretty exciting from the creator side, not just the customer side, like, player side. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, man. It's been a hell of a chat. I feel like you and I could just chat on for hours and hours and hours. I'll have to have
I know.
man.
Okay, I'll take you up on that.
Oh, man,
And
maybe
next time we need to have structure, and so we say, okay, we're going to talk about this, and then we're definitely going to move on to the next point, and not just kind of go everywhere.
Oh, look, man, editing's a hell of a thing, and we have the tools for that. And hey, look, like you said, maybe we've got like this great bits in here that are made specifically for the design people who want to make a studio. And there's a lot of advice in here that's for general. Like, it's about what you take from the conversation had. We're not going to get everything right. Not going to be interesting for everyone who listens in, but they're guaranteed, listen to enough of the stuff here, you'll see some similarities, you'll find the bits that you want to take out of it. And maybe it's just listening to me talk. I have no idea. Maybe that's it.
That's the Dylan supercut, where you just cut the guess out, or just always just Dylan's side of the conversation, like, every time.
Horrible. I spend half the time just listening to you guys talking, like, oh yeah, yeah. That's the
supercut. You just going, interesting. Like, no
I'll
context.
consider it, man. I'll consider it. Well, thank you so much for jumping on, man. It's been a pleasure. And no doubt we'll catch up again in person at some point, because I gotta try new games, this new Euro project as well. I want to pick your brain for. So yeah, look,
we'll chat about
that.
Currently it's just an idea, so don't hold your breath. It's still,
I'm an ideas guy, man. I love it. I love ideation. It's like that's my creative superhero space, man. So if you need a head, or even just like want to guiltily let someone else read it one day.
I'm probably similar. I have so many game ideas. I've got a huge list on my phone of just game ideas that I think about. But then I also have a bad habit of, because I know a lot of other game players and game designers, I'll just message them and I go, I've just had this idea for this game, because I think they might be interested in that idea. And then I'll send them whatever the idea is. And then months will go by and I've forgotten I ever sent it. And then maybe there's someone I don't talk to all the time, so I'll go back to message them again about something else, and I'll see this old game idea and I'm like, I completely forgot I had this. That's a good idea. Why did I not put it anywhere else? Why did I forget about it? So yeah, it's a common problem.
Well, if this one's sticking out, you're talking about it here, I'm hoping that it sticks around, because
I think the core, I just think the core idea will. Whether or not it pans out as I'm currently envisaging, who knows? But anyway, I don't want to jump the gun. I'm not going to tell it publicly just yet. But it's something that currently is exciting me anyway.
Well, fantastic, man. Well, thank you so much again. Is there anyone, including yourself, that you wanted to shout out? Obviously, people can find you at Delta Face Games across all the socials that you can see in the background on there for him. But is there anything else you'd like?
All the socials being 2 socials. I'm pretty much only at Instagram and Facebook as Delta Face Games. I don't really use any other tools right now. Currently, that's the best way to get a hold of me. You can email me at Eris at Delta Face Games if you just want to find out more specifically about some of my projects or what's happening. I will eventually have a mailing list. I've currently just got physical, like paper people have written their details on, and I need to turn that into a digital thing, and that's a challenge because I'm like, I hope I actually can read everyone's handwriting. I haven't tried that yet. So but the plan is to do that, and obviously have a website and stuff, but I don't have any of that yet. So yeah. So Sugarrr, Sugarr's a family card game, 2 to 4 players, dinosaurs eating fruit, with a interesting card mechanic. I don't really know how to describe it. You need to figure out my sales pitch for that one. But but it's a mechanic I haven't seen anywhere else. So for me as a designer, it's very satisfying. But I don't know if it's the kind of thing. I don't think it's like the sales pitch is the mechanic so much as the kind of theme and the fact that it's a fun game. I know that sounds silly because like everyone's going to say their game's fun, but like it's just a game that has a lot of people have told me they've had a really good time playing and it's brought them joy. So and it's certainly one I enjoy playing. So like. Yeah, and I mean the biggest attraction of Sugarrr though is the dinosaurs. Like you get, who doesn't want dinosaurs that are made of fruit? So yeah,
look, I'll be getting my copy when it's live, so you have to keep me in the loop there because I
will do.
love it. I love it, and I have, I'd say 2 or 3 friends who I know just love dinosaurs, and regardless of whether they actually play the game, like just take it because it's amazing.
Well, that's the funny thing, like and this is why we have themes on games partly, but like I guess same as For God's Sake. So For God's Sake is ancient Greek gods, and I've demoed this, playtested it at many events. Was at PAX last year. I was doing collaboratory doing it. This year I had Sugarrr, and some people just turn up and they go, "Greek gods, I'm in." They don't need any other information. They're in. Same as dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, I'm in. Like just sign me up. And it's just like, cool, that's great, easy sell. Like, and other people actually want to find a bit more out, but like
play the game a little bit.
It's
Yeah,
great,
yeah, awesome.
Anyway, thanks, Dylan.
Oh, thanks a lot, man. So yeah, you can find Eris. Please reach out to him. He's an infinite font of great design knowledge. I've seen him working from the sidelines, from up front. It is amazing. Pick his brain. He's got a lot of experience and knowledge in there. And hit him up. He's a great guy. I love chatting to him. And man, I'm definitely having him on again, man. We've been here for just over 2 hours of the recording, and I've loved every second of it, man.
Have fun editing that.
I will. Just reliving some of it. I think I'm going to take like little nuggets out of it here and then be like, I need that somewhere, like a little post-it note somewhere for that. I've been doing that with a couple of like beautiful sayings from the people around. I've got little post-it notes on my screen and like around the room and that to be like, these are the things that are important. So yeah, well,
awesome.
Thanks a lot again, man, and thanks for tuning in at home. We'll see you next time with some more, hopefully, very, very insightful stuff from the independent tabletop space. We'll see you next time.
Cool.